Hello, everyone, and welcome into our latest live video. Today it is Tuesday, the 14th of July. Wow, we're almost halfway through July already. Hallelujah. It's hot. And I'm your host, Carey Holzman. Joining us today, our good friend, Scott Merrill. Ask Your Computer Guy. But first, before we bring him on, we want to remind you, our good friends over at VIP-URCDKEYs. I know many of you have seen this little video clip before, but it's just a quick how-to if you're interested in taking advantage of the offer. If you look under like this previous video I'm putting on the screen as an example, just click that first box on the left where it says more. In there, you're going to find all the links we talk about in the video. And that includes the links for Microsoft Office and Microsoft Windows, legitimate legal product keys at a severely discounted price. This is what I use in my business so I can be competitive in the market. Normally, businesses don't share this kind of information where they source their materials, but I'm not like a normal business. And I'm doing the same thing I'm showing you here, which is if I want Windows 11 Pro, I hit the buy now. I have to log in with a name and a password. So we don't have a place. They have a place to securely send me the product key I've purchased along with a receipt. If you want to save even more money, under the promotion code, put my name, Carey, C-A-R-E-Y, and submit that. You'll get a discount. If you don't want the discount, you don't have to use it. Again, it's not a commission-based link. Then submit your order and then follow through the next screen, which is all your payment options. And you're going to go through those screen by screen, depending on which payment option you want. It's no different than buying anything else online. If you have any problems, they have 24/7 tech support. You should get an email within about 2 minutes, day or night, weekend or holiday, doesn't matter. And that will be your receipt along with a download link to the Windows or Office product you purchased. Or you can bring your own Windows or Office link and just use their product key. And then it also keeps a history of your purchase, just like Amazon does, indefinitely. So if you ever need that information again, just log in with the account and look at your purchase history, and you can pull back everything the original content, which would be the download link, the product key, et cetera, et cetera. It's all kept there indefinitely. Again, just like most online sales places like Newegg, Amazon, et cetera, your purchase history is there for your convenience. And if you have any problems or issues, and for any reason their support doesn't help you, reach out to me personally. And we're going to get to how you can reach us and talk to us here towards the end of the video. But first, I don't want any more delay, because joining us again from the Ask Your Computer Guy YouTube channel is Scott Merrill, joining us. I guess it's the East Coast of the United States. And without further ado, let's bring on Scott. There he is. Hey, Scott.
Howdy. Yeah, it's more like surface of the sun than East Coast, but yeah, okay, exactly.
Well, I think the whole world is boiling right now.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on, but I heard El Nino, but I don't know what that means. So I'm just a dumb computer guy. I don't know weather. So
do you remember when that was officially our title? Like, if you were one of the OGs of computer repair, you weren't called a computer technician. We were called
a nerd, geek,
computer guy.
Yeah.
And hence the title of your channel, Ask Your Computer Guy. Now, for people, well, we have a lot of regular viewers. Sometimes, quite often, we get new viewers. And so for people who haven't met you before, why don't you tell us a little about yourself?
Thank you. First of all, I'm glad to be here. Thanks for having me on. My name's Scott Merrill. I've been in IT since 1992 when I was in the military, and I started a local PC business back in 2008, and have basically been doing that on-site mobile computer repair, which at the time nobody was doing. So I did it because I was just too cheap to pay for rent somewhere. But yeah, I started that business. It was pretty successful, and I've been doing that ever since. A few years ago, maybe 6-7 years ago, I started a YouTube channel to win a bet with my son. And all I really wanted was just to get 1,000 subscribers and shut him up. But it turned into something a lot bigger. Turns out a lot of people like the kind of stuff that I do in my local business, which is basically come out there, I hold your hand, I talk to you like you're 5, and I make complicated Windows issues simple. And that's kind of been the core of my business, and now the core of my channel, which has just grown by leaps and bounds. So I'm very grateful for that.
Well, and that's how I found you. I think your channel came up as a recommendation for me.
Yeah.
And I can usually tell by watching technical content if I'm watching an enthusiast or if I'm watching a professional.
Right.
And I don't have anything against the enthusiasts, but it seems pretty rare here on YouTube to find other professionals such as myself, and, you know, sort of what I can relate to, looking for somebody else that can relate to it, kind of birds of a feather kind of a thing.
Right.
And of course, I started right about the same time in '91. So you and I have a lot in common, except, well, you're on the other side of the United States. I imagine we have some cultural difference, but also you cover information that I would never touch.
Right.
So, you know, there's quite a lot you introduced me to. So you're not just, you know, just because I'm a computer technician doesn't mean I don't want my hand hold.
Right. Well, you know, and the irony of that is, I was just thinking about that earlier. My wife and I were talking about it, because you're considered an OG and everybody knows you. You know, it's like when people hear you're a computer guy, they assume that you know everything about everything. Mm-hmm. And we all have our specialties. And my specialty is Windows support and general break fix. Excuse me. I'm not a network wizard. I mean, I can do networking, but I'm not really like off the top of my head. And that was part of the reason why I was excited to talk to you today, because the Synology is something that I'm excited about. I set it up once, and I'm not even sure how I managed to do it right, but I don't think I did it 100% right. But, you know, when it comes to stuff like that, if somebody called and said, hey, can you set up a NAS for me? I know you do that a lot for your local clients. And I'm like, I really need to, well, one, get my NAS back up and running, because my wife is really upset about all the movies she doesn't get to watch anymore. And two is like, that's a skill that I need to add to my repertoire. So, you know, I'm going to play the noob. I'm going to be I don't know nothing about nothing. And I'm going to probably ask dumb questions that people who are watching, who maybe are new to Synology or new to, you know, network attached storage for the first time, maybe think this is crazy, but I'm going to ask those questions to maybe help make them realize that it's really not as complicated as it sounds. So, so I appreciate your knowledge and your input on this. And like I said, I'm going to play the part of the noob. That's kind of the direction I'd like to go.
Well, we help each other out here.
Yeah.
I know you just recently posted a video on Zorn OS.
Yeah. I'm dabbling in Linux a little bit. Yeah. Well, because every time I make a Windows video, the first 100 comments are just switch to Linux, you idiot. So I'm like, let me try.
You should go onto a Linux. You should go onto a Linux channel and say, just switch to Windows, you idiots. And watch the feedback you're going to get. That's a very hostile, toxic community, the Linux community. Yeah. Not all of them, but enough that makes me not want to be a part of it. You can tell me personally, we're getting a little off topic, but my feeling is the more you are aggressive and elitist, even if it's a good thing you're promoting, I'm not interested anymore, because you just poisoned it. I don't want to be part of that toxic community.
Right.
I want to be part of the positive community. I want to be part of the community that says, if you ever want to explore this as an alternative, you might decide for yourself if you like it better than Windows, and we can help you.
Right.
But what I found in the Linux community is when I ask somebody a question in their forums, they gatekeep. They say, well, if you don't even know that, you probably shouldn't be using it.
Right.
I'm like, holy cow.
Right.
No wonder why they only have less than 4% market share.
Well, and
but that's not everybody.
Yeah, no, 100%. There are, just like there's toxic Windows users. And I mean, you know, but part of the reason I wanted to go that direction is because of who my core audience is. And for the longest time, I thought my core audience was just novice Windows users, but it's actually novice computer users. And every time we turn around, Microsoft is doing something else to aggravate the community, whether it's forced upgrades or, you know, incompatibility or constant restarts and all this. And sometimes these people, my users, my viewers, they honestly don't care if it's Windows or Linux or Mac. They want something that just, you can sit down and it works. And so I tried to bring a perspective on Linux from that angle. From if you're just somebody who does 6 things, you might actually like it. And here it is. Here's how easy it is to set up. Basic stuff. Give it a shot. If you don't like it, no big deal. Go back to Windows. But that was the kind of when I started with that, and I've only done a handful of them, but it was like, that's what people really want, is they just want simplicity in their lives. And so that's why I was like, I'm not afraid to tackle Linux. And of course, no matter what, you know, half the people that watch the video love Zorin, and the other half of people told me I was an idiot for recommending it. So I was like, you know, I can't wait. But ironically, the guy who co-wrote Zorin OS reached out to me and was like, I loved the video. You did such a good job showcasing this, how easy it is. And I was like, you know, a little starstruck. I was like, that's cool, right? And I said, well, tell you what, you want to do even better? Why don't you jump in the comments and start answering these questions? Maybe some of these people will upgrade to pro and support the content or support your efforts. And, you know, and I don't get paid from it, you know, anything like that. I was like, just jump in and tackle some of these questions. So, you know, and again, like anything else, when you're just learning it, you aren't a wizard. There's some things about Windows that even you've taught me the last couple of times we were on lives. I was like, I didn't even know that existed. But when it comes to Linux, I really am a noob. But I think that that's an angle that my viewers would appreciate. Because like, this guy doesn't know Linux at all, and he was able to figure it out. Maybe I could. And so that's a long story short. That's basically how that whole Linux thing started. I'm not going to go make a video on every Linux distro, but
yeah, but the fact is that that is a community service.
Yeah, that
the Linux community in general needs a lot more of. If I'm going to watch a video on how to install Linux, everyone I've seen has, well, it's pretty hard to find one that I can find relatable. But I can already know yours is going to be, I like the way you present. Right. And if more people in the Linux community showed that kind of understanding, I think that it would be a lot more popular of an operating system.
Well, you know, I mean, if they want to take over the market share, the best thing they can do is be the kind of supporting community that makes people go, I like this way better. And the support is great, and this, and you know. But I did what everybody else did. When I went to Google and went, which is the best distro for Windows users, and it kept popping up the same two: Linux Mint Cinnamon and Zorin OS. Since I already made a video about how to do Linux Mint Cinnamon, I said, let's do another one. And I've been trying to answer the questions as I get them. And sometimes, honestly, I have to go Google it because I don't like they're speaking words I still don't understand. But that was kind of the point, is you don't have to be a Linux expert to use something like this. And you're free from Microsoft forever. And for a lot of people, especially my community, they're like, what do I have to do to get out of this Microsoft stranglehold? And Linux may be an option. You know, I mean,
we're going to turn this into a whole nother show, because
we very well make good.
My argument is this. If you work for a living and you go to an office, you probably sit at a computer,
right?
And you're being paid to do a job. You're not paid to like it,
right?
If that business sits you in front of a Linux computer, they'll teach you what you need to know. Mm-hmm. If that business puts you in front of a Windows computer and you don't like Windows, quit your job. You don't get this autonomy to say, I want this OS. It's not your computer. You're not there running the business unless it is your business.
Right.
You're there to do a job. And in most places around the world, for better or for worse, look, if it's raining outside, it doesn't matter if you like it. Right. Nobody cares.
Right.
Now, if you're at home alone and you don't want to go out in the rain, don't go out in the rain. But if you're a Lyft driver and you're trying to earn a living, you got to go out in the rain, whether you like it or not.
Right.
And so my argument from a lot of these folks online, very toxic individuals, is they have no consideration for anybody who has a job. So, and when you mention Linux, you know, words and things, it's another language. It's no different than learning Spanish or learning Greek. It is another language. Right. And, you know, for some people, they love that. And for other people, they need a translator. And that's just, they're never going to learn it. They're not interested. Just, you know, and it's easier than ever now to serve yourself with things like Gemini and other AI chatbots that can walk you through setups. But there's nothing better than a real human who's compassionate, who can talk to you in a language you can easily understand.
Right.
That's what you do, and that's why you're here.
Right.
And now you're in a position where you're like the opposite, right? You're like, you would like somebody, I'm assuming, that speaks plain English that you could easily understand without having to hit an AI chatbot, which you and I both know you could fully do this.
Right.
And I love this opportunity, and I thank you for giving it to me, because I love setting up a NAS. Yeah. And we're not going to set up TrueNAS or Unraid or any of these open source things, because they're always, compared to the finished, polished, paid for product, they're always lacking in development. They're always lagging behind. And so you need to be more technical. Right. So I noticed a question in the chat room saying, hey, are you guys going to use an open source software for the NAS? No, that's not where you start. You need to, in my opinion, learn to walk before you run. Right. And once you get the Synology or TerraMaster or QNAP or SUSE-Store software down, they're all kind of the same. And then you can choose if you then want to start granularly controlling every little detail without all of the a lot of things being presented to you as menu options. You have to kind of code it in yourself or understand the technology. So today, my understanding is you have a Synology 923 Plus. I also happen to have one. You've got 4 drives in it now.
Yes.
And you need to reset this because it's been, correct anything I'm saying. It's been off for a long time. You don't remember how it was set up, or you just want to start over.
Yeah.
And we're going to walk everybody through that today.
Right. And being a Capricorn organization is really important to me. And it was great in the beginning. And then it got to a point where I was just dumping stuff on the NAS because I needed a storage place, and the stuff got all over the place and I couldn't keep up with it. I couldn't find it when I needed it. And I'm like, you know what? There's only 2 things I really want on this NAS. I want a drive pool specifically set up just for movies, pictures, music, entertainment. My wife and I can sit down, connect to it, through Plex or Jellyfin or whatever, and just enjoy our media. And then the other pool, the other set of drives, will be strictly for backing up all of my YouTube content, which right now is scattered amongst 20 different drives. And, most of the time I know where I'm going, but sometimes it takes me a couple hours to go find that one piece of B-roll that I needed I just want to go to one place, click it, drag it, drop it, boom, done. And, stay organized. Plus, it's probably, a NAS is arguably one of the best backup methods in existence, especially when you're running a RAID array. So for a normal person who's looking for the ultimate backup solution, I highly recommend it. It was a great peace of mind knowing that all my footage, everything I had that mattered to me was in, 3 separate places. And, and one of them was on a server with redundancy. And I was like, that's great. I want to get back to that. But as I told you earlier and before we got on here, I want to treat this as like a noob. I'm going to follow along. I've got my 4-bay NAS already plugged in and set up, and I'm just ready to do whatever you tell me to do so that I learn and go through the process. And then if I have questions, I'm going to ask those questions that someone who's brand new to NAS storage would probably ask. So be aware.
Those are my favorite questions because those I usually know the answer to.
Yeah, that usually helps, right?
The complicated, difficult questions, you can keep those to yourself. But the easy questions, I'm your guy.
I'll just use AI for those.
Yeah, there you go.
All right, or go to
we'll
Space
AI Carey.
Ask him, right? I don't know. Who's it? Is it what's his name? Is it Space Rex, the guy who does he does a ton of NAS videos, but
and NAS compares.
Yeah, and great channel, great content creator, but he talks at like Linus Tech Tips level for me, and I'm like, and I'm a computer guy, but I'm like, I don't understand what you just throw out these words, and you expect me to understand them, and I'm like, I'm out, I'm done, I can't understand it. So, I know you would appreciate the opportunity to talk to me like I'm 5, which is exactly why I'm here today. So I'm all right. I'm yours for the violating.
I have to catch up to where you're at. So I'm going to show everybody what you have already done, I'm assuming, which is we're going to plug it in. This is an empty Synology 923. I'm going to go full screen over here just so everybody can see.
Okay.
So you You just hang on right there while I show everybody. Now mine has the 10 gig upgrade card right here, which normally you have two Ethernet ports back here. And then when we reviewed this, we showed how the 10 gig upgrade card goes in there. So other than that, and in fact, you may even have that as well. I'm not sure, but
I do. It's not installed, but I do have one. I just haven't installed it yet.
Now I'm going to throw the drives in here real quick. And one of the lessons that I want to make very clear is you don't have to fill all these drive bays up. If you only have 2 drives, and with prices being what they are, to put the 2 drives in, leave the other 2 bays empty. If your drives aren't all the same, if one's a 14 terabyte and one's a 12 terabyte, they don't all have to be the same either. Preferably, we're going to use NAS or enterprise grade drives. Desktop drives will work in a NAS, but in my experience, they die within about 12 months on average. Unless things have changed, right. You will probably see a very short lifespan on those drives, but they will initially work, and Synology will warn you, the drive restrictions where they used to not allow it at all. They do allow it now because of the feedback that they got, the pushback. But I'll tell you from experience, within 12 months, you'll be replacing the first drive, and within months after that, the second, the third, the fourth. And I heard
that Seagate Iron, I think it's Seagate Iron Wolf brand, which a lot of people like for their NAS. Synology didn't support those for a while, but I've heard they're actually, as opposed to Synology branded drive. What do you know about that? Do you have any experience with the Iron Wolf?
I'm going to work while we're talking. So in my opinion, well, let me ask you a question. Let's do it this way. Do you have a preference over a Chevy Silverado versus a Ford F-150? Or in general, the Chevy product versus the equivalent Ford product, or Coke versus Pepsi, or
Pepsi. No, Pepsi bad. But that's only because I've had both Coke and Pepsi, and I like Coke better. And
you have a preference.
I have a preference.
But you also understand other people have other preferences,
right?
Okay, so when it comes to Synology and Western Digital, it's to me a Coke and Pepsi. It's they're identical to me. Right. Ford and Chevy, they're the same warranty, about the same price, about the same vehicle,
right?
To me. And by the way, I'm putting in these 2 drives here are going to be 2 14 terabyte. Wait a minute, these are 2 12 terabyte Seagate Iron Wolves. Now, Seagate makes the drives. Seagate's one of the manufacturers that makes the drives for Synology.
Right.
So all Synology is doing is changing the firmware on.
Right. So, well, the reason I ask is because I have Synology branded drives that that work great, but I've heard that the Iron Wolves, and I don't know, they could very well be, that could be the underlying drive for the Synology branded. I didn't know if you knew the difference. By the way, real quick, I forgot to tell you, since you're in the desert, I brought my tequila plant to make you feel at home.
That's an agave?
No, it's an actual tequila plant. It's not an agave. I only know that because it's a thing. I asked my wife because I was like, "You're bringing tequila on my set?" She goes, "No, I'm bringing you a tequila plant." I said, "What the hell's a tequila plant?" It's not the same thing. It's not an agave plant. Because I was like, then I could be like, "Look, I'm growing my own right here in the studio." But
I'm growing my own too, but it's not alcohol.
I got you. Anyway, I wanted you to feel right at home.
It's not my height.
I brought my little plant. My wife doesn't have to remember the water.
Skittles.
I think
the bag of Skittles is the most important tech tool you've got over there.
I keep this on my Amazon wish list. Seriously, for viewers who are like, "Hey, I want to support the channel," and drop a few coins in his pocket. I'm like, I don't need coins. Send me Skittles.
So you don't need a buymecoffee.com. You need a buymeskittles.com.
Well, if I actually use buy me a coffee, because people know I drink a lot of coffee, but it's funny though, because I have it on subscribe. I have a Skittles addiction. It's horrible. But
see it now.
I literally have tequila. I have Skittles, and tequila. But I have Skittles on my subscribe and save, so they send me a new bag every so often. But then every now and then a viewer will, and I'm like, I'm not expecting an Amazon package, and I'll go out there and there'll be like 4 bags of Skittles, and I'm like, oh my god. So my wife is like, you have to find a place for all these damn Skittles, or turn it off. And I'm like, you don't understand. You don't
have a place for those Skittles.
Oh, I'll find a place right in my belly. Yeah.
I've had too much dental correction work from eating one of the Skittles in the bag was hard
Oh.
and cracked. Some work I've had done.
Oh.
And I don't have Skittles anymore because they cost too much money at the dentist.
I had that problem with a Jolly Rancher when I was about 9.
That'll do
maybe
it.
10, and I bit into it and it bit back, and I was like, crap. Yeah. So yeah, Skittles it's a comfort food for me. Sometimes I love laying in bed and I'm got my little things on over my ears and I'm Bluetoothing some YouTube videos and just popping Skittles, and next thing you know, I'm asleep. It's the only way I can get some peace.
So what I've got in front of me are 2 different Seagate Iron Wolf drives. All right. One of these, I think, is a renewed drive. That's why the label looks different. And I find they're just as reliable. Yep. In fact, it's been a long time since I've seen a failed drive in a NAS. Of course, now that I've said it out loud, I might be setting myself up.
Yeah.
But I think what you're thinking of, at least from my experience, was that Western Digital had a series, not Seagate, of drives that were SHR shield magnetic resonance. What do they call that? Versus,
were these supposed to be like designed for like surveillance systems and things like that, like that purple line or whatever it was? No, I was specifically talking about the Iron Wolf line because I had heard that you couldn't. I did some research because I was looking at getting some replacement drives for my NAS, and I was like, the Iron Wolf series is arguably way cheaper than the Synology branded one. And I started doing my homework, and I was like, if you look at the stack of hard drives I have right now, probably 80% of them are Seagate, just from laptops and desktops. And so I'm like, it's like Western Digital. They're really good one year and not so good the next. And Seagate was really good. Their Barracuda line was great, but the rest of them weren't. And so I was just digging and going, okay, can I go with these cheaper Iron Wolf drives and still have the same results? And, and I think Synology originally didn't support them, but now they do. And I just didn't know and obviously you have 2 of them there, so we'll find out, knock on wood, that they both work okay. But, for some people, especially someone's trying to fill up a 4-bay, a 4-bay NAS, those can get expensive, if you're buying the higher end stuff. So people are going to be like, could I go with the Iron Wolf and be okay? I don't know.
I'm asking Gemini about this.
Okay.
And it says, for years, one of the biggest selling points of pairing Seagate Iron Wolf drives with the Synology NAS was the IHM, or the Iron Wolf Health Management. And this was a proprietary piece of software baked into DSM, Synology's operating system, that went beyond the standard smart monitoring to monitor over 200 drive parameters, intercepting potential failures before they caused data loss. However, thousands of users ran into an issue where they bought brand new officially supported Iron Wolf or Iron Wolf Pro drives, plugged them into their NAS, and the Iron Wolf Health Management tab completely vanished. And this was because Synology frequently updates its drive hardware revisions and internal firmware to a newer version, and Synology's Disk Manager relied on a hard-coded internal database to recognize these specific drives and enable those features, the IHM features. So if you bought a drive with a firmware or sub-model revision newer than what Synology had coded into their version of DSM, it treated it like a generic hard drive, disabling the IHM interface altogether. So the fix was they had to wait months for Synology to update DSM, basically. And then when DSM 7 came out, that's when they started blocking drives, which made it even more confusing as to what the problems were. And then, of course, Synology ended up rolling that back about 7 months later, where they would say drives were incompatible and wouldn't let you go forward. But with 7.3 of DSM, they reversed that and put it back the way it was. And now, of course, the latest version is 7.4. And we had videos that showed how easy it was to work around this fake restriction that Synology put up as a big facade. It wasn't real.
Right.
And that was a video that didn't last too long. So I've ended up taking those videos down because I don't want to confuse anybody.
Right.
Because there's no reason to have to override drive compatibility on Synology with the latest DSM. And you should only be running the latest DSM if you care about nobody getting in here and over the network from China or India or Pakistan or wherever they're logging in from. Heck, it could be your neighbor for all I know. And then encrypting everything or stealing it or using that as a gateway into your home network. So using the latest OS on any NAS is critically important for your own security.
Right.
Now, that being said, I am not a fan of Western Digital NAS drives because Western Digital had the drive recording type was SHR versus, Western Digital NAS drives, SHR, avoid. Maybe that's enough for Gemini to kick off the explanation I'm trying to pull off the top of my head. When you, it's SMR versus CMR. So CMR is conventional magnetic recording. It's where data tracks are written side by side, sort of like a record, like a vinyl.
Right.
What SMR is called shingled magnetic recording, where like a roof, the data sort of overlaps a little bit on top of just like a shingle on a roof.
Okay.
And that's to squeeze more capacity out of smaller disks. And if the drive needs to overwrite a piece of data, it has to overwrite, write again the overlapping data, or you lose it, right?
Right.
And otherwise, it has to rewrite that whole block.
Right.
And this relies on a massive firmware background cache just to keep up. And around 2019 to 2020, Western Digital quietly swapped out the underlying technology of its standard entry-level 2 terabyte to 6 terabyte Western Digital Red NASs from CMR to SMR without changing the model names or warning the consumers. And what ends up happening is if you put that in a NAS, Synology's operating system, the DSM, it expects hard drives to respond within a very tight time frame. Right. When an SMR drive hits that massive write amplification bottleneck, the drive freezes to rearrange its shingles. The NAS assumes that the drive has suffered a physical hardware failure because it's not responsive, and then it kicks the drive out of the storage pool, crashing the entire rebuild. So that's why I thought maybe you were thinking of Western Digital to avoid with the you would not be wrong about that, but it was specifically the iron gate. It was really more about just cost versus quality. Okay. Well, I mean, I don't know anything about it.
Okay. We'll find out.
But I'll tell you, I read nothing but Iron Wolves. I haven't had a failure in years, whether it's for me or any of my clients. So knock on wood, it's not just dumb luck and just really good quality. But I'm not sure that I would be saying anything different if I said the same thing about Western Digital. They're so similar. But anyway, so here I've got two. Oh, you know what? Maybe the difference on these labels is this is Iron Wolf Pro and this is just regular Iron Wolf. You can also use their Barracuda line, which is enterprise grade. They work in NAS just as well. They're a little EXO, Seagate.
I like the Barracuda line. They're good.
I think the Barracuda. I might have my information wrong. Is Barracuda safe for NAS? Because I know EXO is Barracuda safe for NAS. I'm going to just keep my Gemini up. I see you're going to be a tough customer today. You're going to test my knowledge.
Right.
Okay. Strike what I said about Seagate Barracuda.
Okay.
What I was referring to, what I meant to refer to, was Seagate EXO. Those are drives that are used in like servers and businesses, and they're cheaper than the Iron Wolves. Right. And they seem to work fantastic for less money. But you can also get these renewed on the Amazon, and I haven't had a problem with the renewed one. They're just like new.
Okay. And
that saved me like $100 per drive.
That's a lot of money.
Well, times 5 or 6 or 7 or 8 drives. My 1825 has 8 drives in it, and they're, I think, 20 terabytes each.
Jeez.
Yeah.
That's a lot of music.
I do that for testing purposes.
Yeah.
I have to. It's my job. I can't just leave the bays empty. How else can I possibly test it under extraordinary? All right. Anyway, I can see how that's working with you.
Yeah.
I'm going to just put these in, not that they have to go in any particular order, but with my OCD, I'll keep the green labels together.
Right. And
it doesn't really matter where we want to start, this side or that side. And we'll put one in there.
By the way, something to be just, we talked earlier about like me just trying to wipe this NAS and start over. And it's been so long, I can't even remember my password.
That's okay.
So
who needs passwords?
Well, to log into the DSM, but
back in my day,
we don't need
dialing and hacking. Passwords never got in my way.
Well, yeah, but I know there's a reset button on here. I'm not even sure I have a paperclip. So,
Well, yes, there is a reset button in the back here, and I don't know if I can get you a close up, but let me try. Let's see what happens. First of all, let me go. Oh, how am I going to do that? Might be easier for me to just pick the thing up and bring it over to the camera. How about we do that? Let me go full screen. And let me take a look back here so I can point out. Okay. All right, I see it. Next to the red, I think that's a red USB port right there, right where my finger is. There's a tiny hole right between the power and that red jack right there. There's a teeny tiny pinhole, and it says reset in really fine writing.
Lord.
And you're going to want a paper clip or a SIM card removal tool from a cell phone box.
Yeah.
Those work really well. You might have a really small screwdriver.
I wonder if would the end of a push pin work, you think?
I'm not sure how deep it is.
We could try it.
See, I've got, yeah, try it. See if it goes in there. See if you feel anything. See, like these little screwdrivers that come with, oftentimes NVMe drives will come with a little screwdriver. These are often perfect to save. To go, no, oh yeah. It doesn't, it's not that far in that you have to push it. It only goes in about less than half of an inch. So as long as you have that space, maybe even a quarter of an inch is the length you'll need. And you'll feel the little micro switch when it's in there.
Is it just above the Ethernet port? Or just
it's like right in line, the Ethernet port that's closest to the edge.
Yeah, that's it.
That little tiny pinhole.
Yeah.
So this is the Ethernet port right here that I'm referring to, closest to this edge.
Yeah, that's it. I got the beep. Okay.
Okay, so what you're going to want to do
it beeps.
Set it. Is you're going to have to do that while it's on.
It's on.
Let's see how to reset. Let me just make sure I have my facts right. Synology.
Yeah, no, I was literally just reading it here. It just says it press and hold until you hear it beep and then release immediately, and that will reset the device and the password.
You're a step ahead of me. Perfect.
That
sounds exactly right. And you heard the beep.
I did.
I'll tell you what. Let me do the same thing. You and I will go through these steps side by side, and we should each get the exact same results.
It was about 5 seconds. You had to hold it.
Yeah, they don't want you to accidentally do it.
Right.
So you got to be determined. So I'm going to go ahead and give this power, and I'm going to go ahead and give it a connection to my network. So there's power. And it doesn't matter which of my network ports I use. I'll just use that one over there. And then I'll get my little, oh, you know what? Let's turn it on. So when you turn on a Synology, the light will blink until it's booted. And you'll typically hear a beep when it's booted. And then I'll just use this little screwdriver. I've got paper clips. I've got SIM card removals. This is the first thing I found in the drawer that'll do it. But I'm trying to tell you, anything that can be used potentially to push into the reset holes of routers and ejecting CD trays or whatever.
Right.
Like this, I have no intention to ever use this as a screwdriver. I throw it in the drawer and say, well, you know, maybe if I ever have a little pinhole reset button, I'll keep it for that. And here we are. So I am waiting for, I'm listening to each drive spin up. Now, remember, we have two drives that are 14 terabyte, 2 drives that are 12. Now, I can put that in one big pool, even though that's not what you want to do. Right. I can put that in one big pool. And what used to happen is you used to just get the smallest size drive times 4, and you would lose any other capacity. But with modern like BTRFS or ZFS, it has the ability to not give you the full total capacity, but to give you a little additional of what's left over from the smallest drives. And depending on how many, like if I have one 10 terabyte drive and 3 14s, I don't just lose 12 terabytes of data automatically like we used to. Right. But I also won't gain 12 either. I'll probably get like an additional 5 or 6, which is still, you know, pretty darn good.
Right.
Much better than it used to be. So things have changed there a little bit. And then you'll see this does take a minute or two to boot up. And once that boots up, I'm going to do exactly what you did. And then we can go through this step by step. And then you'll have a few decisions to make when you set up 2 storage pools. Again, you don't have, there's the beep. You don't have to, like I've got 2 12s and 2 14s. I would set up 1 storage pool on 2 12s and 1 storage pool on 2 14s, but you don't have to. You could set up 1 storage pool on 1 12 and 1 14 if you wanted to. And the other storage pool would be the same. And then you have to decide, do you want to combine that? Because if your drives are only 8 terabytes each and you want to put media on them, it's not going to take you very long to fill those up. But if you go into a striped array, a RAID 0, then you'll have 16 terabytes. But if either one should fail, you've got no backup, you've got no redundancy.
Right.
So we'll get to that here in a minute. I'm going to go ahead and put my screwdriver in the reset hole and hold it in. You said 5 seconds?
Right. 1.83. That's weird. I'm trying to find. It's recognizing my NAS, but the Synology assistant says it can't find it. But I go to the IP address and it pops it right up. I have to. When you say the Synology assistant, are you referring to their software, or are you referring to opening up your browser and going to find.synology? No, I did the Synology software. I opened that up and searched. It couldn't find it.
Interesting.
I went to find.synology, whatever it was, find.synology.com or whatever. And it found it immediately.
Perfect.
So
you may need to update your Synology assistant. I don't know when you downloaded that.
Probably 100 years ago.
Yeah. So there are updates to recognize the latest DSM, and yours might not recognize a newer DSM. Maybe.
Well, that's assuming that the software was actually updated. But
well, it depends if the software was updated after you've installed.
Right.
Like if that's an old install, or that's an old download of an install that you're recycling.
So I will do what most people
change could have happened, and you just never realized it.
Yeah, it's if it was updating automatically. So I'll do what everybody else does and go to download Synology Assistant, and then select.
And what Scott is referring to, in order to find this, log into it like a website, and you're gonna, or like a router, and then all of your controls are there. This has no keyboard, no mouse, and no monitor.
Okay.
Well, we're getting a little bit of glitchy here.
As far as the connection?
Hopefully, I don't know if that's me or Scott or StreamYard or
I don't know. I mean,
or I don't know. It could be even YouTube, bro. I know.
Connectivity's.
We'll give him a minute.
I'll
show you.
I'm going to hear you, no problem. We're also in the middle of a storm.
What I want to show you is, in order for me to find this on the network, I can open up my browser, and I should be able, using StreamYard, to, let's see, should be able to share my screen. Slides, extra camera, video file image, share screen. That's what I want. And we want the YouTube tab. No, okay. Let's open that up. And let's see, see, this is where it gets a little confusing for me, because now I can't see StreamYard, and then it'll show StreamYard when I do it.
Right.
Oh, I see what it's doing there. It's got you and I together, and then it's got the browser. I'm a little rusty with StreamYard. So we're going to just type up here, find.synology.com, or you can go to synology.com and download the Synology Assistant, which is a standalone program you run on your desktop to search your network. And find.synology.com does require that WS look, what is it called? WS something has to be enabled on the NAS for Windows networks, or it won't find it. Now this one says migratable. This one is the one we're using right here, the Synology NAS that appears on the screen. And it's been sitting on a shelf pretty long too. You'll see 7.2, since then 7.3, and then 7.4 have come out. It says it's migratable, meaning I have data on these drives, just like you explained you did. Right. So I'm going to double click on this one. And because I reset it, it starts all over again with the end user license agreement. I hit next. And you still with me, Scott?
Yeah.
Okay, good. And then here it says, welcome back. Do you want to migrate? I don't want to migrate. It says some of these drives came out of a DS220 Plus, and now they're in a DS2 923. You can migrate. What if I don't want to migrate? Can I skip that?
I'm trying to download the Synology Assistant, and it's taking me.
Hold your thought for a second. So when I hit the migrate button, it says, do you want to retain all the data on these drives that came from the other NAS, or do we want to reset them? And I'm going to just go ahead and reset them. Okay, now you may not get this because your drives are already in there, but just for anybody that's in this scenario, it's also going to ask me if I want to download the latest DSM 7.4 at the same time, which I do want to do. And now that goes to work. Okay, so while we wait, your question was downloading the Synology Assistant.
Yeah,
so if I open up another browser tab and I type in Synology
it keeps pointing me to the PAT file, and I'm not trying to upload it directly.
No, that's not an assistant file. PAT is the firmware.
Yeah, that's what I'm figuring out here, but I'm trying to act. Oh, there it is. Let's try to go to desktop utilities. How about that?
There you go. Yeah, there's tabs. So
it's been a day.
Yeah, that's okay. So NAS, and then I have the DS. I'm going to just catch all our viewers up with what you're seeing there. Okay. DS 923. This is all numerical, right? We're in the 4s, the 6s, 18. 15.
And I was on 7.2. So that.
Yeah, me too. Wow, we're like couldn't have planned this any better.
I know, right?
DS 9, or you can just type in 923 and save a lot of effort. Here we go. And then what Scott was referring to is he's looking here, right? And it says operating system. But up here, it says desktop utilities. That's where he needed to go. And then that's the Synology Assistant. It's a very little download.
Yeah.
You can download it for Windows, Mac, or Ubuntu, 32 or 64-bit. And you do need to update this from time to time, especially after you've installed a new DSM, or it won't find it. It has to be updated to find it.
Yeah.
So that's
interesting. Interesting. After updating the Synology Assistant, it still doesn't want to see my NAS, even though if I go to find.synology.com, it does.
That's okay. Let's not worry about that at this time, because once we get into the NAS and we configure it, we can check settings to make sure it's findable.
Got it.
Otherwise, you're sort of putting yeah, you get it. All right. So
I got you. Baby steps, cart before the horse.
I was going to say
the most thing I was concerned with was, is it actually on my network? Is it visible on my network? And now I've confirmed that it is, because when I go to find.synology.com, it says, here's your DS923 with your version number and all that, and then click here to log in. So I know it's at least on my network, so I can eliminate that as a reason that, I was just trying to reset the password, but I don't know what the admin or the default password is. So I should just shut up and let you do all the talking.
No, you're fine. I can't really see what you're doing, so you have to explain it to me, as you're well aware. So go ahead and log in. Go ahead and click on that to attempt to log in.
Yeah, that's where I remember my username. I can't remember the password.
So even though you hit the reset, it's still asking you for it?
Yes.
Type in admin.
Yeah.
And then what is it admin? What is the default login on 923? Let's see what it says. If it's brand new, yeah. Use the reset button. Yeah.
We did
Open
that.
the browser. Yeah. Type admin into the username. Leave the password field completely blank, and it should sign you in.
That did not work.
Why is mine beeping? Hold on. Oh.
Admin did not work. I'm wondering.
Admin is all lowercase.
Yeah. Capital A. Just force of habit. Let me try lowercase admin.
It's not showing it? Hold on a second.
It's
Really? It hasn't updated? I thought I would be switching around. This is why I should be using OBS for this. Okay. Bear with me a second. I'm going to have to go back over here.
It's still showing me. I'm not. Raise your hand or something. Are you? Yep. There you go.
I'm still over here. My screen, I've been working on this full screen, and it's not showing it. It hasn't moved off of the YouTube page. So what I need to do is, I don't know why this is beeping at me. What it's doing, what my Synology is doing right now, it's finished downloading the DSM.
Right.
But I'm a little baffled with the beeping, so I'm going to look into that here in just a moment. So let me first of all, I think I need to switch over to OBS and use that as my video source, because StreamYard is, I don't know it well enough apparently to share my screen. Oh, I know what I can do. I could probably bring up Microsoft Edge. Usually when a Synology beeps like this, something is wrong. This is not normal. So I'm just kind of curious if maybe one of the drives that's been sitting on a shelf. Oh, it's just the status. I have a yellow status light here.
Mine was my status light was yellow until all the drives were recognized, but now it's not doing that either. What the hell? I think we have simultaneous NAS attacks. What's going on with that?
Well, I think mine's just crying for attention, the best I can figure out here. Let me just try, maybe if I just change the browser to Edge, so I'm trying to open different tabs in Chrome, which is fine in OBS, but I think StreamYard doesn't like that. So what I'll do is I will do a find.synology.com in Edge, and then I'll share the Edge screen. That should solve the problem.
I'm going to try resetting mine again, because it's not, the admin and the blank are not working. So.
They're not working. Okay, well, while you're doing that, let's see, I'm going to close this, and I'm going to close this, and I'm going to close this.
Now, the reset can be done while the machine is on?
It needs to be done while the machine is on.
Heard.
Press and hold until you hear a beep.
Okay.
And then it'll take a minute for the
there you go.
For the unit to reboot itself.
Okay.
All right. So if I go back over here to screen share, let me try this again. Oh, that was fun. I don't know why.
Well, I got a beep. Let's see what happens. Because before, normally we'll cycle through all the drives and the lights will turn green.
Let's see, share the screen. So it's interesting. It's saying I can share my screen. And it says to you, it's best with 2 monitors. So I don't really want to share the whole screen. I was wanting to just share the browser. So that's not solving it for me either. That'll be all right.
You know, we better figure this out, because people are going to be like, this is way too complicated.
No, my problem isn't it isn't this. It's StreamYard. Just to be clear. I'm using a different way of broadcasting and it's been a while. I'm a little rusty in that. My apologies. But what I can do, I know a workaround for this, which is to just get me back to what I'm familiar with.
OBS.
And sort of stack OBS underneath StreamYard, and I should be fine. So if I go to, so I'm in OBS now, and if I go to my display capture, and then I want, no, window capture. And we'll go to properties. And I will change that to Microsoft Edge. That should avoid my confusion while I'm trying to produce the show while we're live. Is a little bit challenging. But I should be able to go to StreamYard and say, let me add a second camera.
Right.
Let's see, where is that at? Video file, image file, share screen. Oh, I might have already set it up.
I'm going to restart my NAS just because, why not?
Okay, this is looking better, I think. Let me see that full screen. and it's reversed. This is Synology doing this. Not Synology. This is
OBS.
This is StreamYard doing
Right.
this. And StreamYard, I need to tell it I want to mirror the. Yeah, see what StreamYard is doing is it's mirroring. Darn it.
Hang on.
And let's see. Let me come back over here for a second. And let me put me back. Let me remove that. And I should have a camera setting to invert. I'm just trying to find it in StreamYard. I know it's there. Camera settings. It's not in camera setting. I could probably do it in OBS. You know, maybe that's be the easiest thing for me is to open OBS because that's what I'm familiar with. It's not a limitation of StreamYard. It's a limitation of my brain and what I'm typically using. And it has nothing to do with any of this. This has to do with broadcasting. So I'm going to just go ahead and tell it to transform this image in OBS and make it 180 degrees. We want to flip it horizontally. Now it's backwards for me, but when we bring it into StreamYard, I bet you it's going to look forwards. Let's see if that works. Well, what rocket science. So here it says the system's searching for the Synology.
Yeah.
And it should have come up by now. And I'm sort of regretting that I didn't just start this up with OBS to begin with, because this would be a lot smoother. So where we're at right now is simply you're trying to boot your system up where you have a reset password. And I do believe that the reset that you press should do that job.
Yeah.
And what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to be able to share the screen so it's not backwards. But the problem is now when it's backwards for me, everything's backwards for me.
Right.
And in OBS, I already have all this set up. So bear with me for a second, and we're going to work these problems out, because I think what I want to do here is
I keep getting even after a restart, and of course all my drive lights are on now, which they weren't before. I just restarted it, and when I do the admin, and I try to admin and blank and admin, and neither worked. So
okay, so you tried admin.
Tried lowercase, uppercase. I mean, yeah, I mean.
Well, let me get to where you are. All right, so I've got my screen shared now. I think I have this figured out. And I'm going to catch up with you here in just a moment. So I'm going to go full screen over here. And you can see it finds the network.
Yeah.
You can hear the Synology being annoying. Normally it's quiet unless there's a problem. And we have a problem. We haven't set this up. So I should be able to double click on this. Now, hopefully, did the screen change? No, I'm on the wrong one.
It's backwards.
That's our 1825. See, I always give my Synologies the name of the model so I don't forget which is which. So we do find.synology.com. Are you seeing all this?
Yeah, but it's backwards for me.
Oh, it's backwards for you.
Yeah, I'm looking. Your screen is flipped horizontally.
That's fascinating. Okay, how about let's transform it and flip it horizontally the other way. How's it look now?
Good.
We're good?
Yep.
Yeah, between the two of us, we'll get her figured out. So right now it's saying it's not finding my Synology. So what I'm going to do is I'm simply going to pull the power out of it. It's really getting on my nerves listening to it beep. I want to make sure my Ethernet cable's all the way in, and I'm going to let it reboot. And what we're looking for, we should see two Synology NASs on the screen. Our 1825, that's our long-term testing unit. And then this is a 923. So if you only have one NAS, you're only going to see one. If you have more than one, it's important you name them in a way that you will recognize them. So you're not getting into the wrong NAS. And you're like, whoops, I didn't mean to reset my main NAS, because that would not be good.
Yeah.
And
according to this, well, I'm trying to do everything regarding password reset didn't work. And if that doesn't work, contact Synology tech support. That's if you can't and reset your administrator password. But if you can't get into the thing, that's why you should
hold on a second. We between the two of us,
we should be able to figure it out. We're pretty smart, right? Most days.
well, I mean, some people might think so. We'll see how long we can keep them fooled.
Right.
So when it comes to Synology, let's see, 7.2,
Yeah.
I think that's also an important consideration to include the version of DSM because that might affect the reset process. And username of admin, blank password did not work.
Correct.
I'm gonna tell you a little workaround here. We're gonna brute force this bad boy.
I'm listening.
What I want you to do, and you do not have to turn off the NAS for this, because I want you to eject the 4 drives, but you don't have to remove them. Just back them out by about an inch.
Okay. Let's try that.
Yeah. And then while you're doing that, I'm still staring at the screen.
Okay, that's done.
Okay. And my NAS, you can see all the lights are blinking here.
Mm-hmm.
So we're rebooting.
Right.
And then when it reboots, it'll be reassigned an IP address from my router. Okay, there's 2 beeps. That's good. Now the yellow status light is on, telling me there's a problem, meaning that it needs our attention for something. Right. Normally, this is like a smoke alarm going off. You don't want to hear this. But during the initial setup for the first time, this is normal because it's saying you haven't set me up yet, right? So it's alerting you. It's on but not set up. So make your choice. Do you want to turn it off or do you want to set it up? And until you do, it's going to just do this.
Right.
So what I'm going to try and do now, see if I can find it on my network. So I'm going to go back to my Edge browser here and let it search. And it may take a minute after it's booted up before you find it on the network. And I can't remember what I went to before. I'd have to rewind the video, but I think it was at 192.168.70. Was it 70? Yes. Yeah. So like you, mine is now doing what yours is doing with regards to the find.synology.com isn't finding it right now. And that may be because the option got reset to turn that feature off by default. I don't know. But now I am seeing, well, I can just show you what I'm seeing. I'm seeing the welcome to DSM 7.4 screen. Now, does that look straight? Does that look backwards to you?
No, it looks good.
That's weird. It's showing it to me backwards. So it's on my side that it's doing that. That's fine.
Something I was looking at here, and this may be because I don't have the drives plugged in, but I was just looking at it as far as like, what does that solid yellow light mean? I would assume it's implying if the drives are physically connected and the drive is blinking, it usually means that there's an issue. A solid yellow light indicates a drive has failed or is experiencing a fault. Obviously, if there's no drives plugged in, that's probably
a fault.
That's a fault, yeah. So I just don't remember. I don't remember what it did. Anyway, I can't do anything until I can log into it. So
okay, so you have all 4 drives removed now.
Correct.
Okay, so what I want you to do is turn the NAS off for a moment.
Okay.
Pick one of the drives. Probably start with the one on either side.
Okay.
And then turn it back on again with only one drive turned on.
So plug in one drive, leave the other 3 out, restart.
Correct.
Got it. Hopefully.
I'm going to make him work today. Now, when you're using this brand new out of the box, you won't go through this series of, you might say, wow, you're supposed to make this look easy, Carey. It doesn't look that easy. Because it's not as easy when you were previously using it. You put it on a shelf, you forgot your login password. And in both our cases, this is exactly the scenario. We just so happen to have the same Synology unit under the same circumstances. And he's resetting for one reason, I'm resetting for a different reason. In fact, these drives have never been in this NAS before. They were in another NAS, or at least 2 of them were in a DS 220, I think, or 920. So this gives you sort of a much deeper dive into, okay, of course, when everything comes out of the box, there's a procedure. But what about after you've owned it for a while and maybe you haven't been playing with it or using it, you set it off to the side for another day. Today's another day, and now you've completely forgotten how to set things up.
Yeah.
This happens to all of us. It'd be no different than if you played piano for 2 years, and you stopped playing piano for 2 years. Now it's been 4 years, right? And you can sit back at the piano. You're going to be a little rusty, but it's
Right.
like riding a bicycle, and there are
Hey,
very simple.
hey. First
Yeah.
of all, that analogy was perfect. The piano, it's like you're not going to be as good as you were if you don't use it. Second, best advice ever: write down your Synology login information. But I just want to let you know, and I don't know if it's because of what I did or what you did, but when I did the find.synology.com and it showed me the device, I double clicked on it and it took me to welcome. Let's set up your Synology.
That's what we're looking for.
So I have that here.
Okay.
So you,
I'm going to let this beep and be annoying until you catch up with me. Or actually, you are there now.
I'm at the install screen now. Yeah.
Okay. So go ahead. Let's do this together. Let me bring up the screen here. Right.
Yeah. Yeah. That's exactly where I'm at. Well, you're on the DSM setup. I'm on the setup like it's a brand new Synology. And for anybody listening, I promise you, I didn't know how to do any of this. I just followed the basic steps. The software walks you all the way through it. It was super simple. I just haven't used it in so long I forgot my password. Because otherwise,
you wanted to reset it anyway.
I could just log in with my password and reset the device and be right at this screen. But this is kind of one of the reasons why you definitely make sure you keep up with your passwords, because you go through this. So don't be scared.
A Post-it note is all it takes,
Exactly.
Right, I'm going to hit start, and it's asking me to set up a device name. Right. That's why it's not finding it, I think, I haven't set up a device name. I'm going to call this.
Okay.
You are seeing my screen, right?
I do.
All right. And then I'm going to put administrator account.
All right. So let me go ahead. I'm going to go ahead and do my install. Now, this is probably important. On the initial setup screen on the install DiskStation Manager, I would assume you would probably tell it, go ahead and download the latest DSM instead of manually updating. Okay.
Correct.
So I'm going to do that. I'm going to click next, and then all data will be deleted. This is important. If you have brand new drives or empty drives, you're good to go. If you have anything on these NAS drives, once you click I understand and continue, it's gone. It's going to wipe it completely. So be aware of that. And even you have to check that box. But again, in our situation with the drives that I have in my Synology, I have everything already downloaded to other drives. I'm ready to wipe it clean. So I'm okay with that. So I'm going to click continue, and it's going to wipe it. Okay.
Yeah. And then you should see that it's downloading. You get like a timer that starts at 10 minutes and counts down.
Well, next screen that comes up to continue to confirm the delete, it's even giving you this extra layer of protection. It says type the model number, and in case it'll tell you DS923 plus, you have to type DS923 plus and then click delete. Okay.
And you have to add the plus.
You have to add the plus, right?
That's right.
And then now I've got a big blue screen installing DiskStation Manager 0%. So perfect. So now what it's doing is it's obviously, I don't know if it was me double clicking on when I went to find.synology.com and it showed my device. And normally I was just clicking the sign in, which was taking me to a page that I couldn't log into.
Oh.
But what I did instead, just for giggles, of course, I right clicked to see if it had some right click menu options. It did not, just my browser right click. But I double clicked the line that showed my NAS where, on my network. I double clicked it and boom, it started this. Let's set it up. So
I never.
That's a workaround. It could be.
I forgot there was a sign in button, so I didn't even consider that there could be a difference. I always double click on the line.
Yeah, well, it could be also your little pull 3 drives out, leave 1 drive in. I don't know.
Well, we're gonna find out one way or the other. This should get her done.
Okay, so now
in general, this is a pretty solid way to, when you're kind of stuck and you're really trying to reset something, I promise you, without having all the 4 drives in, whatever was on there, it 3/4 of it is gone now, regardless.
Right. So I'm at that 10-minute countdown now. For those of you who obviously can't see, I'm at 9 minutes 30. Restarting your DS923 Plus. Your DS923 Plus will be ready in approximately 10 minutes. Do not turn the power off during this process because you might damage or delete data that you just deleted.
Well, no, it just won't be able to complete. You're going to start all over.
I know. It's my feeble attempt at IT humor, man. All right. So while this is going, let's get back to your screen there with you getting start with the.
This will be the next screen Scott's going to see. It's going to say you want to start it, set this up, right? That just what we just did. Give the device a name. I'm going to call mine DS923. Synology, for security reasons, doesn't want you to use an administrator name of admin because that's a default, and a lot of hackers obviously know that. So they want you to pick a name. So I'll just put Carey. And then for my password, I'm just going to type.
Make it hard. Make it hard.
Watch. I'm going to do.
Holzman. Make it really hard to hack.
Watch this. This is my PA55 WRD exclamation.
Oh, you don't do the W0?
I mean, I could, but I don't want to make it that hard for me.
Okay.
This is my PA55 WRD exclamation, and then hit next.
Now you notice
now,
that
beeping. In theory, this beeping should go away.
Did you notice that that checkbox where it said allow it to be viewed in a web assistant? Did you?
I missed it.
Okay.
Let me go back.
Go back to that. Yeah. Go. Well, you may not be able to.
Uh-oh.
Oh, look. You're going to be right where I'm at.
Yes, I missed that entirely.
Yeah.
So I was at 192.168.70. I guess it's not going to let me go back.
Okay.
But no, I did not even pay attention to that. I'm going to show you how you can get to it another way.
Yeah, I was going to say, once you get into the software, you can go and enable that option. But okay, so I'm now launching built-in packages, so I should be caught up to you here momentarily.
Good. I'm just trying to get this beeping to stop. So right here, this default is fine for automatically install important DSM and package updates, but I want to install all of the latest DSM and package updates, not just the important ones.
Okay.
Then I hit next. And then it says create the security Synology account. I never do this. You can if you want to. I'm going to skip it. And I'm going to skip it anyway. And I don't want to use device analytics. You can if you want to report, have the machine anonymously report device analytics to Synology so they can use that data anonymously to improve their systems or be aware of any problems before you have to report it. But you don't have to participate. It's voluntary. I don't need any of this. I'm going to say no thanks on this screen.
By the way, I'm on that screen that you skipped over. So I'm going to check to allow this NAS to be displayed.
There you go. Very good. And I'm going to click no thanks on 2-factor, though I don't recommend you do that. But just for us to get through, you have to tell it twice. And here's where we're at. Oh, it's telling me volume. The reason it's beeping isn't because I didn't set it up. That's why yours isn't beeping. It's telling me that the array that used to be on here has been degraded. So it's telling me right here, there's a problem with drive number 3. It says it's unused, but it's healthy. But drives 1, 2, and 4 were previously used as a RAID in a Synology at some point, and that RAID is broken. But that's okay because we don't want it anyway. And it does see the two 12 terabyte drives and the two. Sorry, these are the two 14 terabyte drives. Okay. These are the two 12s. You can tell from the total.
So drive 3 has failed, basically.
No. Drive 3 is not assigned
to
and as a result, the Synology is saying whatever you used to have on here, it doesn't know these 4 drives has never been put together before.
Okay. Did you?
But it does know 3 of these drives were at some point used in a Synology, and they're not talking anymore, and it assumes they were.
Okay.
So what I need to do is delete both of these storage pools.
Yeah, that would probably get rid of that error message.
So you'll see storage pool 2 says it's degraded.
Okay.
And what we want to do is delete the storage pool. I should be able to just
try repair.
No, because I don't know what's on it. Could be customer data. So I'm just going to remove the storage pool, and it wants the password, right? So this is my PA55WORD
Did
because you
you
don't want somebody to just do this and it's going to completely erase the storage pool.
did
And
you
maybe
skip
that will.
did you skip the creating the account
Yeah,
to
I skipped all that stuff.
for secure sign in? I like that because it'll pop up on my phone every time I access it. So okay, I'm going to skip that also.
Well, the reason I skip it is because we're live and I don't need people to see me setting that up. I do encourage you to set it up.
Okay, and we're going to skip the drive server, office, and photos, or no?
I would do all that later because, again, we're live. I would say, here's your basic setup, and what you choose to do with it.
Got it.
When you set yours up off camera.
Got it.
The difference between you and I is we're showing this live. So I'm trying to do this securely and safely.
That's smart.
And expediently. So setting all that stuff up is optional. We can do it later.
Okay. So I'm at the storage pool options. So should I go ahead and plug those other 3 drives back in so I can do the correct storage pool settings, or because I've only got 1 drive plugged in at this point?
Yes, this would be the perfect time for you to go ahead and push those other drives and lock them in place. And while he's doing that, then what it'll do, this is hot swappable, meaning the unit does not have to be off. This may not be the case if you build your own NAS. If you have an old computer laying around, you likely have to take the panels off. You have to shut off power. You have to remove a power cable, a data cable. Turnkey solutions like this are built so that you can easily replace a drive without going through all that. In fact, if one of these drives is I'll give you a real world example. Let's say my customer has this at their office and one of the drives fails. I get an email alerting me that a drive has failed. Nobody in the office knows anything's wrong. They cannot tell the difference because we have a RAID 5, which is one of the drives is a spare tire. And so it continues to run. The light on the drive, you see the green lights over here? The one that's affected will be red LED, and it'll be drive 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever. And then the down here, not on the trays, but down below the trays, it says 1, 2, 3, 4. So it's very easy for me then to drive over to the office with a spare drive, or I keep a spare drive right on top of the unit, brand new in the package. And that's why we have it there. And I do it. I don't instruct anybody to do this. I do it myself, but I don't have to necessarily do it right that second. I can wait till the end of business. If I want to roll the dice, I can wait till the weekend. But if another drive fails, we lose everything. And then we'll have to count on backups. So I will usually expedite this as soon as possible without any interruption to the business. So they don't know anything went wrong. I'm given the alert. The spare drive is usually located on top of the NAS in a locked room where the NAS is. I go into that locked room after business hours. I have keys and the alarm code to the business, or somebody, the business owner, will meet me there at a time after hours so we don't interfere with productivity. I take the drive out. I put the new drive in. And if the old drive that failed is under warranty, I take care of that. I bring it back with me. I log into the Synology and I tell it, it says, hey, I noticed you put a new drive in. Do you want to add this to your array? Do you want to repair your array? I hit repair. It could take 24 hours to do the repair. Again, nobody in the office knows anything ever happened. And then I can send the unit back that failed. When the replacement comes in, I deliver it back and put it on top as the next spare. And because there's no hurry on that, I can just wait till I'm at the office for any other reason and just bring it with me the next time I'm there. It's how painless it is.
Yeah, Carey, it's also, it'd be a good point, I think, considering some of these people that might be watching or maybe even more novice than us, explaining to them when you're doing that repair, what's actually happening, because you've set up those RAID arrays. So when you put in a brand new drive and you hit repair, how that duplication, because you're like 24 hours, depending on how much data on it, it's got to copy all that back. So maybe you want to just touch on that a little bit so people kind of understand what that means to repair that RAID array when you have a brand new drive in there.
What's fascinating about, so RAID, RAID, stands for a redundant. We know what redundant means. Extra. Redundant array, we know what an array is. It's a number of things together. of, some people will say inexpensive disks, but I would argue what you think is expensive and I think is expensive are two different things. So
independent, isn't it?
Independent disks would be more technically accurate, but you
took me back to my A+ days right there. Thanks a lot.
There you go. So it's a redundant array of independent disks. Each disk is independent, but they're working together as a team. And if you want to, you can set them up so that, let's say we have 4 10-terabyte drives. Let's just pretend to make the math easy. You add all that together, it looks to the computer as one 40-terabyte drive. But if any one of the 4 10-terabyte drives fail in that configuration, the other drives will not work. You've lost, everything is gone. Everything's gone. So you say, well, gosh, that's a lot to lose. That's right, it is a lot to lose. Well, is there a way that if a drive were to fail, that I don't lose anything? Yes, that's called RAID 5. The first RAID where they all work, 10 terabytes plus 10 terabytes plus 10 terabytes, and it's all added up to 40 terabytes. That's called a RAID 0. That has no protection. You're going to need to back that up regularly. However, regardless of which RAID you choose, should you get a virus infection, accidental deletion, you better have a backup either way. Right. But the most common reason people need their backup is because a drive fails. That's the most common reason. It's not the only reason, and that's why when you set up a RAID 5 array, I realize we went from 0 to 5. Let's just skip 1, 2, 3, and 4. RAID 0 very simply adds all the capacities together. If any one drive fails, you lose everything. RAID 5 takes one of these 4 drives, or one of these 5 drives, or one of these 6 drives, however many you got, and says, I'm the spare. So if that is a 10 terabyte drive and all the others are 10 terabyte drives, you're going to lose 10 terabytes. So now we have 4 10 terabyte drives in this example, and one of them, any single one of them, not a designated one, if any one of those fails, the data of that failed drive exists on the other 3. It's a mathematical thing where they say each drive contains 1/3 of the data of every other drive. And because of that, you need the full capacity of one drive to store that on all the drives. So in other words, putting it quite simply, if we had 4 10 terabyte drives and we want to institute a backup drive, that's a RAID 5, and we will lose 10 gigs of our usable capacity, what we can write to the drive. So instead of having 40 terabytes, we would have 30 terabytes. That's normal. If these were 20 terabyte drives and we had 4 of them, we'd have 20, 40, 60 is our total size. And then 20 is hidden, but it's not hidden on one drive. They share 1/3 of that between all of them, so that if any one of the 4 die, by putting in a blank drive of the same capacity, it can rebuild what was there from the data that exists on the other 3. Mm-hmm. And you say, well, what if 2 drives die? Well, if 2 drives die, you better have a backup, or you want to use RAID 6. RAID 6 will be 2 spare drives where you lose the capacity of 2 drives. Right. So if we have 4 20 terabyte drives, that's 80 terabytes, but we lose half of it, then we only have half the storage we can use. And you're like, well, why did you spend money for half the capacity? Couldn't you just do a mirrored array and do the same thing? Yeah, that's why you wouldn't normally do that with just 4 drives. But when you have 6 drives or more, having 2 failures that you can accomplish a recovery from at the same time is much more reasonable to lose a smaller fraction instead of 50%. So the configuration you use has to do with the amount of drives you have. So on a Synology like this, I would never use a RAID 6 because it would just be redundant to RAID 1, which is mirroring, which we haven't talked about. So if we have even just a 2 drive, all a mirror does is it says it hides the second drive. They both would be of equal. So 2 20 terabyte drives, whatever this one does, this one does. Mm-hmm. They duplicate. It's a mirror. And you only see 20 terabytes. You don't see 40. You only see 20. Right. And if either one of the 20s fail, the other one continues working. So you don't even know, aside from the Synology beeping and putting on a red light, you just swap it out and it rebuilds by remirroring it again. On the other hand, if you were to accidentally delete a file, if you were to get ransomware, it does it to both drives at the same time. That's why this is not a backup.
Right.
This is drive recovery failure, and it's seamless. if that's the reason why. If the reason why is some other reason, like viruses, or if you got a big power spike and it corrupted 3 of these drives, I hope you have a backup. There's a lot of reasons that RAID is not a backup,
Right.
but you can often use it for the most common reasons people need a backup.
Right.
But there are exceptions, as I've mentioned, where a backup is still strongly necessary.
Right. And definitely connect your NAS to a UPS. Just, I mean, better than plugging it into a surge protector.
The problem with a NAS, you might drop $200 on a UPS, and if you never use it, battery is going to need to be replaced in 4 or 5 years, and it might start causing power outages to whatever you plugged into it, which is the reason you put it in to begin with, and now it's causing the very problem. And then you're like, I'm not going to spend $100 on a battery. I'm not going to, so whether or not you use it or not, if you live in an area that has a lot of power outages, then definitely yes.
That's what I'm saying. Is in the Mid-South area that I live in, we have horrible storms, lightning storms just come out. Matter of fact, there was the forecast said it was going to be totally dry all day. Just as we got on here and all this mess started, I heard thunder outside, and I was like, well, that's no big shocker. So I have, the way I look at it, and I agree that you have to replace batteries every so often. So you definitely want to go with a reputable UPS, like a CyberPower or APC or one of these great companies. I've been dealing with them for 20 years. But the way I look at it is, if it's important to you, at least put it under some kind of, even if you don't get one with battery backup, definitely get one that at least has some really good surge protection. I do both. I have all of my equipment here in the studio is stuff that's not easily replaceable. So I have a high-end UPS for the my tower and a couple other things. Like the NAS is connected to a UPS, as is my 4-drive array down here that I have, that I might be working on a client drive or something like that, and I can't have it interrupted. So I keep it on battery backup and surge protection. But yeah, with something expensive like a NAS, you don't want to just plug it into the wall and and pray. At least, if nothing else, get a good high-end surge protector if you're not going to go battery backup. By the way, since you let me have the floor for a second, everything appears to be okay. I've got all the 4 drives in, and I'm at the create storage pool and volume option. And we talked earlier about what I was looking to do as far as my particular setup. So now that you know that, if you kind of want to take the lead as far as explaining what my plan was and which RAID array would make the most sense for me.
Well, let's go back over to my desktop.
And I wasn't going to click on create now until you said go.
So it's not telling you have any existing pools?
Correct. I basically just did a full factory reset on it.
I understand, but a factory reset doesn't erase the drives. It only resets the login password.
Well, I can look in the file station.
So, well, here's what I want to know, Scott, is if when you plugged in the other 3 drives, is it seeing them? So do you see the screen under the storage manager that I'm looking at, where it says HDD SSD, and see all 4 of your drives installed?
I haven't got to that point because I haven't created any pools or volumes.
Okay, go. Let's. It's going to be hard for me to to see what you're seeing there, unless you want to share the screen with us.
I'm at the. I mean, I can. I don't know how, but.
Okay, well, here on StreamYard, you should have the a box next to your.
Present. Look at there. Okay.
Yeah, and then I think it says share screen.
Let me see if I can.
Or the 3 dots that are right above your image.
Yeah, here we go. Yeah, there's.
I see it.
Okay, there. So this is where I'm at.
All right, let me remove everything else. I want to see this full screen. So let me take that out. Let me take you out. Let me take.
It's going to take 10 minutes to do all this. What happened to Carey? Where'd you go?
I see what's happening when I remove our video. It's muting our microphones.
Oh,
It's still a StreamYard. Me, I'm playing the piano here. I haven't played in a while. Okay, so go ahead and click create now. I apologize.
All right, you following along here?
I'm watching you.
Okay.
Okay, and let's see what it says here. Volume information.
Okay, and I'm gonna let you navigate. I'm just gonna do what you tell me.
Just hit the, I'm not sure it's seeing all the drives. It says it looks like it's seeing 2 drives. Is that all?
Should be 4. No, there's 4. 2, 3.
Click the X there. Let's see if we can just close this out. Because you had an array before, it looks like if you go to where it says HDD SSD on the left side of your screen, all the way to the left, it sees 4 drives. Then where it says storage pool, or storage, click on that, and then scroll down a little bit, and it says available pool 1. You see the 3 dots straight across to the little further down mid screen?
Yeah, right here.
Straight? No.
Oh, right here.
Yep. Remove that pool. Yeah.
Okay. I labeled the drive spare. Oh God.
Oh no, we have to reset again. He already forgot his password.
No, I remember the new password.
Yeah, that's the one you need to use.
Okay, yeah, I was like, I panicked for a second. I was like, oh crap. Okay, cool. All right. So now we've got 1 pool here, 2 pools here, 4 healthy drives.
4 healthy drives.
So now should we okay, all right, so they're all healthy.
See where it says available pool 1?
Yeah.
Go ahead and we want to remove that pool. So go to those 3 dots
here
and remove that one too.
Okay.
And this is going to completely reset all 4 of Scott's drives.
Right.
They were in 2 individual pools, just like mine were. Again, we didn't plan that. It's just how it is. And we're going to, what he's saying is, what we're both saying is we want to forget whatever was on those drives. We don't need it anymore. We want to start over.
Right. And
so go back to,
right. And for anybody who's listening, a pool just means a collection of drives acting as 1 or more drives. So
if you think about it at the office, if they ever do like a bet with the little grids,
right?
It's like a betting pool.
My wife loves those things.
Or maybe a Deadpool.
Right. Okay.
That's what Deadpool got his name from. All right. So go ahead and go to the overview.
Okay.
And it says, okay, there's your NAS, and you have no pools. So under storage, you have the create now button.
Yep.
And now Scott has to decide if he wants to create 4 different storage pools, 50 different storage pools, 1 storage pool. And obviously you're a little limited with the number of drives you've got, but when you start getting into large arrays, like in corporations, this gets a lot more complicated. So go ahead and hit next here.
Okay.
So what Scott has told me prior to the show, what's it say here?
This is for the RAID SHR. This is going to walk you through each different type of RAID configuration so you can make the most logical decision based on what your needs are.
Okay, so hold on before you do anything else. SHR stands for Synology Hybrid RAID. And what that means is, remember how I said before, RAID would always need the same size drive or you'd lose anything extra? Synology has their own version of RAID where you can use sizes of different capacities together and you don't lose as much. You're still going to lose a little bit. And you don't have to enable that, but it gives you the ability, like if you were only going to put 1 drive in this today, that's all you could afford, or 2 or 3, and you have a couple of empty bays, all you have to do is add another drive when one becomes available. Even if you found it at a garage sale, it doesn't match your other drives at all. Even if it's teeny tiny, you can still add it to your current array because you chose an SHR array, a Synology hybrid RAID versus just a standard RAID.
Right.
Standard RAID will not allow you to do that. So SHR is highly recommended, regardless if you want RAID 1 or RAID 2 or RAID 3. So Scott said, and correct me if I'm wrong, he wants to create 2 pools. He wants 1 pool for his media and he wants another pool for his business. He wants to separate them. He doesn't just want one RAID with 2 folders. I mean, one pool. He could do that too. So you're not changing your mind on this. You don't want to use folders. You want to use pools.
My biggest concern is just redundancy. So
It's redundant. You will lose less if you set this up as one pool with one spare. If you set it up as 2 spools, you'll need 2 spares. It's going to cut your capacity in half.
Okay.
And sometimes people, are you one of those guys that says you should partition your drive to keep your programs away from your data?
I have in the past, but not for the reason you're about to give me crap about. It's a question. I just asked a question. Well, yes, but I know you, and there's a reason that I have recommended that in the past. But I also tell people, it doesn't matter which partition you put it on. If the drive goes belly up, you still lose your data. But as far as a reinstallation of Windows, you don't have to go do anything because your data is already on a separate partition. That's why I recommend it. But I digress. So you don't think now what was the RAID type that was telling you? The way that I had it before was the 4 8 terabyte drives, and each 2 of those were acting or in one pool, and they were just mirroring each other. So if one went down, I could pop another one in. But you're saying there's a better way to do that?
No, I'm not saying any way is better. I mean, do you like salt? Does salt make it better? That's your decision, but I can do my best to explain it.
Okay, explain it.
If you have 4 drives and you want to create 2 storage pools, each storage pool, you can choose to have redundancy or to have capacity, one or the other. So if you have 2 8 terabyte drives, you can choose to have no redundancy and have a full 16 terabyte capacity, or you can choose to do a RAID 1 mirror and have half your capacity. Only 8 terabytes will be available to you. And if either drive should fail, the other drive kicks in and it's seamless. And then when you create the second storage pool, you only have 2 drives left. So you will lose 50% of your drive capacity under that configuration, which may be what you want to do.
Right. Which I believe that's the way I had it set up before. There was 2
Here's
pools.
what I would do, but you and I are 2 different people, so it won't hurt my feelings if you don't agree. I would set it up as one large storage pool and use the power of folders and call one folder media and call the next folder YouTube or work.
Right.
Then by having one storage pool instead of a RAID 1 of 2 drives mirroring each other, I would do a RAID 5. Then I have 8 plus 8 plus 8. I don't have 2 8s now. I've got 1 24. Okay. A single 8 is my spare. So if anything happens to either one, I'm covered. I'm not covered separately. The whole thing is combined and converged into one large array. And we use folders now instead of partitions.
Which I'm fine with that. That would give me more. So basically, if I hear you correctly, we've got 3 drives, and instead of the original one I had, which basically is duplicating 2 8 terabyte drives, and I have basically 1 8 terabyte per pool. Now, and that way, if one drive dies, no big deal. I pop another 8 in there, and it stripes it back, and we're good. This way, I have 3 drives in there, which increases the total space I have for my pool. And one of those 8 terabyte drives is taking a third of each of those drives and doing it that way. And
all drives are taking a third of all the other drives. So if any drive fails, there's not a dedicated spare. Any drive at that point can be the spare.
Okay.
Or sorry, the 3 drives are your spare effectively.
Okay.
It's a little difficult of a concept, and I would love to find an analogy for this, but effectively there is no dedicated spare. This allows any drive to fail at any time to have 0 data loss, because all drives contain a third of the data of the other 3.
Right.
That's why you're losing one drive worth of capacity. So if you set it up as 2 storage pools, you'll have a storage pool of 8 terabytes and another storage pool of 8 terabytes. And last I checked my math, your 32 terabytes worth of drives, you can only actually use 16 terabytes.
Right.
It's all you'll ever be available for you. If you set it up as one storage pool with an RAID 5 where any drive can be, where each drive contains 1/3 of the data from the other 3,
right,
then you've got 8 plus 8 plus 8 total capacity.
right.
That's 24 terabytes. And I'm going to tell you why, for the same reason I prefer folders to partitions. When you run out of space because you're using a particular partition more than you thought or anticipated you would,
Right.
you're going to have to repartition.
Right.
That's old school mentality, in my opinion.
Right.
If you use a folder and you just have one large volume of space with separate folders,
Right.
then if any folder gets full, your drive is full. It's not just a partition issue.
Right.
Now you've outgrown your closet, right? You need to either clean the closet or build a bigger closet.
Right.
Because all we're doing is storing stuff here.
Right.
So to simplify the world, also, if you want to pretend like you have 2 storage pools, simply map a drive letter to one folder and map a different drive letter to the other folder. To
Right.
the end user, they look like 2 separate drives.
Right.
But the reality is, I like to keep it very simple. And this also gives you 8 terabytes more usable space.
Right. And the only downside that I can see based on this is that it lowers your fault tolerance to a 1 drive instead of potentially 2 drives. Right.
Not necessarily.
With the way I had it before. But if it's 2, if both drives are in the same pool, that you're still kind of screwed.
Correct.
Yeah. Okay. So the advantage to this is that at any time one drive goes out, no big deal, pop another one in. But the added benefit and all that data will be striped back across that drive. But now you have increased the size of your available storage by choosing a different RAID configuration.
In your scenario, yes.
So based on what I told you, you think this probably makes more sense. Because I'm going to keep making videos, right? So I got
what makes sense to me may not make sense to anybody else. But,
well, right, but
I'm saying that makes sense to me.
Right, but I was telling you before is that all the content that I make, I upload to my NAS. I'm going to continue to make content, so my storage needs are probably going to outweigh my redundancy needs, or at least what I considered redundancy. So it seems like this is going to give me the best option for risk mitigation, more storage space, and I can still pop another drive in and kind of like nothing happened. I think that makes
and that drive could be larger because once this whole AI bubble is behind us and larger capacities are more affordable,
right?
You could start swapping out one drive at a time. When you start to fill it up, you don't think, oh no, I have to start over again. No, you don't. Even if the drives are working fine, just you see 16 terabyte drives on sale, buy 1 or 2. Pop out one of the 8s, put in the 16, repair the array. When that's done a day later, or whenever you have the money to buy another 16 terabyte drive until you get all 4 replaced, and now you've doubled your capacity and you didn't have to rebuild the damn thing using SHR.
I like that. I think that
and you can do that again and again and again. You could keep growing and growing.
And that will allow me to not have to deal with this as my content size grows or my storage needs grow. So I like
and and in a mirror you'd have to do 2 at a time.
Right, exactly.
So
this I think this makes sense. So we should go ahead with this and click next.
I see Mike's Unboxing, who also has a YouTube channel. He joins us here in the chat room.
Hey Mike,
he's saying SHR2 with 1 hot spare. Now if you notice, because I can't remember which SHR does what, but if you notice, there's an explanation in the blue box underneath each option that you select there.
Right here.
So SHR2 says what?
It says minimum drives 4, drive fault tolerance 2. This is the recommended RAID type for beginners. Choosing this type allows you to combine drives of different sizes in the future to optimize volume size and to assure data redundancy.
But if you have 2 spare drives, you're going to lose more capacity. And since these drives are a small capacity, I'm going to respectfully disagree with Mike's recommendation because I think you're losing too much space. Choose SHR1 or just SHR.
Okay.
What does that say?
Minimum drives 1, drive fault tolerance 1. This is a recommended RAID for beginners. Choosing this type allows you to combine drives of different sizes in the future to optimize volume size and to assure data redundancy. Basically the same thing the
Well, anything SHR says,
yeah,
regardless of the number that follows, that's the part of the statement that says you can combine drives of any da da da. That's the S part, the Synology part of or the hybrid part of this, Synology hybrid. So the top part is the number of default backup drives. So one is, or there is no one. It's just either no number at all, or it's 2. And if you choose 2, you're going to lose more space.
Right. And I think it's also important to point out for those who are watching or listening, there's no one RAID type that works best for everybody. It's dependent on what your needs are. Like my storage needs are different than Carey's, and they may be different than yours. So before you even decide what type of storage pool works best for you based on the size of your drives and the number of your drives, you can go through here and get an explanation, click on each one, RAID 1, RAID 5, RAID 6, and so on, all RAID 10 and so JBOD, all these different options, so that you can see, it tells you very clearly what will happen, how many drives you can afford to lose, what you need to do in that case, and so on and so forth. So just because we're doing I think we're decided on the RAID 5, because
no.
What was it? What was it? 6? RAID 6?
No.
What the hell was it?
We want Synology hybrid RAID. We don't want the old school RAID. See, if you choose one of those RAIDs, those are not hybrid RAIDs. Those are standard RAIDs where all drives have to be the same size. Using Synology SHR hybrid RAID, then you can mix and match drives of different sizes, which means you can use what's available, or you can upgrade your array and enlarge it without losing anything by replacing one drive at a time. So SHR is modern. And if it doesn't say SHR, it just has the R part, which is RAID. That's the old school method, which, I don't know why anybody would pick that, but, I don't know why a lot of people do a lot of things.
Right. Okay. So we were looking at SHR2 then. I'm
not recommending SHR2. I want to simplify this as much as possible. By default, if you were just clicking next through the setup,
it's going to choose
Synology
SHR.
is going to recommend SHR. And if you leave it at the defaults and just hit next, especially if you're not certain, like this is your first time, I would go with the default recommendations that it defaults to as you set it up. Then when you familiarize yourself with you get more comfortable with it and you want to experiment with it, then I would go back and play with it if you want to. But I think if you set it up right the first time using the recommended settings, you'll never need to go back and do it again.
Okay. All right. It timed out on me, so let me get back in here.
So I don't want our discussion about RAID to cause anybody's eyes to glaze over and go, this is too complex. All Scott has to do is go through the wizard and pretty much stick with the defaults.
Where are we going here? Storage Manager.
So you're gonna, there you go.
All right. So SHR is the default,
and then just hit next.
And but that's still going to, I thought, okay, I was a little confused because I thought that we chose the other one that allowed, like it was a 3 drive minimum, and
that's SHR2 with 2 fallback drives, which means you're going to lose.
Well, it allowed for, you could mix and match different drive sizes.
Anything that starts SHR, regardless of the number that follows it, allows you to mix and match.
Okay, so but this is going to basically, is this going to make it? This is going to make 32 storage or 24 storage?
24. So what it's saying is you need at least 1 drive. Let me paint a different picture for you. Let's say you and I are setting this up and you say, Carey, I've got 4 drives. I can't find them, but I've got one of them. And I know I've got the other 3 and I want to make the video anyway. Can we do it? Yes, we can. Right. Well, how do we do that? Then just put the 1 drive you can find in there. And you set this up as SHR. It only needs 1 drive. Then as you find the other drives and add them in, it'll grow and expand. Okay. If you choose SHR2, it won't allow it because you only have 1 drive. And if you do put all 4 drives in and use SHR2, you're going to lose more capacity that's available to you because these drives are small capacity. 8 terabytes these days is pretty small. I wouldn't do that. In fact, I wouldn't run 2 drive spare personally unless I had at least 7 drives.
Right.
If your NAS only holds 4, I would personally, I would never ever want to lose that much capacity.
Right. Okay.
So by falling with the defaults, what it's doing is it's creating a RAID 5 array,
Okay.
but its Synology has hybrided the RAID configuration and improved upon it in a proprietary way that makes it Synology only.
Right. That's what I was getting at. Is it's basically a RAID 5, but the hybrid piece.
Except you can't actually institute a RAID 5 with one drive. It's not possible.
Right, but the hybrid nature of it allows you to add drives of different sizes.
Yes.
So it's think of it as a RAID 5 plus kind of. You get the parity striping and all of that. And
with one drive, there's no redundancy, so the RAID doesn't actually become a RAID until there's at least 2 drives.
Okay. All right. So we're gonna go with SHR.
The hybrid, yeah.
And that will, with the 4 8-terabyte drives, that will give me 24 terabytes of total storage. And basically one of these will be acting as a spare, a backup.
Any one of them at any time can be the spare.
Okay. Got it.
There is not a traditional dedicated spare.
Got it.
Any drive will be the spare, depending on which drive fails. It doesn't matter which drive fails. The other 3 can operate without it.
Got it. All right. And so we're going to continue on. And the storage pool description is optional. Like if you wanted to have a specific name for it or whatever, you could give it that. You can also go in and add it later. But for now, we're just going to click next. And then now we have to select at least one drive to create the storage pool.
You are correct.
Okay.
And but you want all the drives, don't you?
Correct. Yes. So you're going to check the box above the listing drives here and just say, here you go. Take all these drives and you'll see here estimated capacity. Now, if you were to uncheck a certain box, it's going to change how much capacity you have. When you have all these drives selected, here it shows 21.8 terabytes of storage using all of these 4 drives in this SHR configuration.
And that's actually 24 terabytes. It's just the way it's reporting the math.
Right.
Is gigabytes versus gigabytes. And we won't get into that because I don't want people's eyes to glaze over.
Right. So I'm going to go ahead and click next.
Yep.
And then the next page that comes up, see now it says 22,000 gigabytes.
Yeah.
Of course. Okay. Now,
which is still 24 terabytes, by the way.
Right. Now here for the modify allocated size, do we want to touch that at all?
You can just hit the max button.
Okay. Which says 22,325. In other words, use the entire drive.
Use the entire capacity of the entire array.
Correct. Right. Sorry. And for volume description, again, optional. Just like you could label your hard drive in your computer, whatever you wanted.
Just like you could put a Post-it note with your password on the NAS. It's
you know
optional.
What? Let it go. This is why I only collab with you once every 6 months.
See, this is it. He needs some time away to heal.
All right. I'm going to click next. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Now, this is something you want to address for the folks listening. You got 2 different file systems, BTRFS and ext4.
So ext4 is a very old Linux-based file system, which, was very good back in the day. BTRFS is the B-tree file system, which is far more, I always have a hard time finding this word.
Feature rich?
Yeah, I mean, it's feature rich, but it's more robust.
Right.
It's harder for that to corrupt. It has a journaling and a verification system that's constantly running to correct any file system errors that may not yet be known to you. And it'll just do it automatically without you knowing. And while it's still possible to corrupt, it's much more difficult. Like if you had a sudden power loss and your NAS shut off with ext4, you'd be more likely, sort of like FAT32 with Windows back in the day. If you lost power, your Windows may not reboot. With NTFS, it's more likely going to recover.
Right.
So BTRFS is the modern, the B-tree file system. Sometimes we call that Butterfuss.
Butterfuss.
That I won't even use a NAS that doesn't offer that. That's how important it is to me.
And in case you're watching and still not 100% sure, you can click on more information about choosing file systems, and it'll take you right to the Synology webpage and basically say, here's the features of this. here's the features of this, and you can kind of decide. But like you said, it's primarily for older Linux systems. Everything I've ever seen is the BTRFS is the way to go. And it even tells you right here, it's recommended. So I'm going to choose that, and we're going to click next. Now we're talking about encryption here. And I know you and I probably, I don't know, we've never butted heads about anything, so there's no telling. But encryption is going to be good in some situations. You know, if it's encryption. I mean, the whole purpose of it is something. If somebody were to break in your house and steal your NAS, if it's encrypted, it's just like anything else. When you encrypt you have to have an extra layer of X to get into that machine. But you know, for what I'm doing, probably not that critical.
It comes at a cost of resources,
and I would imagine speed also probably.
That's what I'm referring to.
Yeah,
and slow down because it's got to do more math.
If you were a medical office storing all your medical data on your NAS in your office, I would highly recommend that.
But there is a new file system reaching consumers now called ZFS.
Okay.
It actually goes faster with encryption on with the hardware. So that's not an option for us here. Okay. So when it's a consumer NAS like a Synology running BTRFS, I would choose no encryption for performance reasons.
Okay, so I'm going to leave the encryption off because it's not necessary to me. I mean, if somebody wants to break in, steal my NAS, they have my collection of movies and my YouTube videos. They'll be fine. So I'm going to click next. And basically now it's, okay, here's all the settings that we have told this that we want to create. We want the SHR RAID type, these 4 drives, this total capacity, again, using the 3 drives as basically the one pool. So you get the capacity of that. And then we're going to allocate this total max available space for that pool. And then the file system, we want BTRFS. Once we click apply, once we learn how to speak, once we click apply, it's going to go and it's going to do its thing. So you ready to go?
And if you're just joining us, basically, Scott just clicked next.
Kind of. That's one of the beauties.
But he's explaining well.
Yeah. So
I don't want anybody to feel overwhelmed with the explanations. If you just click next, you're good to go.
Right. And that's really all I did when I set up my Synology the first time. It was like, I didn't know what any of that stuff meant. BTRFS and what, Butterface. What does that mean? I don't know.
Butterface.
I just clicked next all the way through it, but it does give you some of that basic. If you're not sure, here's what we recommend. Next. That's literally all I did. And in a few minutes, I was able to start transferring files. But
the wizard is there for people who don't know better.
Exactly. The Synology software really does make it simple for noobs. And if I can do it, anybody can do it. So you're going to get, once you click apply, you're going to get a message. All the data on the newly added drive will be erased. Are you sure you want to continue? And again, that's going to erase all the data off all the drives that are inside that NAS. So if there is anything on those drives, like if you took a drive out of your closet because you think you might have had some stuff on it, you better double check first, because otherwise it's going to be wiped. I'm going to go ahead and click OK. And it should. Didn't it normally prompt with the password again? Okay, no. So here we are. What it's doing now is it's doing what's called a scrub. And that means it's wiping the drives clean and installing the file system so that we can access the NAS as a drive server. And that's it. We just got to sit back and wait.
So there at the very bottom of the screen, it says volume 1, and it tells you what it's doing right now.
Right. And how much space is done. It's already done.
Well, it's still going to be working probably for the next day in the background, but you can continue to use the NAS as if it were done.
Right.
But you may see the drive lights blinking, and when it is done, you'll see the drive lights will be steady. Yeah. But in the meantime, back in the old days, you used to have to wait for this before you could do the next step.
Yeah.
Not anymore. So, okay. So now you've got your storage pool created, and then you have to decide how you want to divvy up your storage pool.
Right.
And so what you want to do is you want to create a shared folder.
Okay. And so I can close out of this because this is going to run in the background, right? So
yeah, you're good to go.
So here we go. So we go
in
to
fact,
file.
I should catch up with you. I should do that to mine if I come over to
to
mine. Where am I? Oh, let me go. Don't get too ahead of me.
I'm not. I was just going to open up the file station and create a shared folder, but.
Well, hold up. Let me do the same thing. I've
Okay.
got my storage, right? I'm going to, it's saying I've got a volume here. I want to delete all volumes. I want to start fresh and clean.
That's very outcast of you.
Erase
You're probably not a hip hop guy. You don't get that joke.
Oh, that's an old hip hop group. What is this, 1993?
Well, I'm old, so, you know.
I'm pretty sure I'm older than you, son.
Yeah, but.
What?
All right, Gramps. Just the fact that you call me son shows how old you are. You call everybody son. I'm like, hey, everybody's his son.
I didn't call you dude.
Yeah, dude. Don't call me dude. I can't. Who was that? Who was that metal band that did that? Don't call me dude.
I
don't know. It's probably too old for you. I don't know. It was an old metal band, and they made a song called "Don't Call Me Dude." Okay, now I have to Google it here. Hang on.
All right. So what I'm trying to do right now is I'm just trying to delete all the storage pools. I want this emptied, and you'll know when it's emptied because you're going to get this screen that says, "Hey, you don't have any storage pools." So we're going to go do the same thing Scott just did here. And even though our drives don't match capacity, it doesn't matter. As long as we use SHR, again, we can just hit next, select every drive. It says the drive is not on the compatibility, don't care anymore. That's no longer a restriction.
And that's the message you're going to get if it's not on the compatibility list according to Synology, but that doesn't mean the drive's not going to work. It just means that Synology says we can't validate whether this is a drive that's going to work or not.
That's a corporate boilerplate cover your butt thing.
Yeah.
It doesn't really, it's a disclaimer. It's a generic disclaimer. Next,
we recommend using Synology branded drives.
I'm going to hit max. I'm going to use all of it. Hit next. BTRFS. Hit next. Encrypt. Nope. It's going to slow me down. RAID type SHR. This is a summary of what we're about to do, and apply. All the data is going to be erased. Correct. And once we go through it, see how much faster that is when you don't have to explain every step.
Yeah, I was going to be like, you zip through that in like 6 seconds. That was great.
But
so now you and I are basically at the same place. Our storage manager is creating all the partitions and the file systems and everything. So now what we need to do is create shared folders. You want to take the lead on that and explain what we're doing and why?
Okay, so once you have designated which drives you want to use, which drives are working together, and how you're going to have a default redundancy, how you choose those or make those decisions, then you have to decide how you want to use them. So at that point, we're going to create at least one shared folder. You could create several. Now, again, we're basically, by creating shared folders, making partitions. I like to use one partition. I am the king of simple. Within that one partition or that one share, I can put as many folders as I want, and I can even restrict access to each individual folder if I choose to. But I don't use my NAS that way, and I don't use it in that way for my clients. They have one large pool and everybody has access to it. Plus, if they have any like QuickBooks files or things, they can individually password protect those from other employees. They don't have to encrypt the NAS for that, or create separate partitions or separate pools. You can if you want to, but I think you're overcomplicating your life. You're welcome to do that. I choose to not. And when I'm aware that I'm going through something the hard way, which I often do, I think, wow, I could have done this so much easier. So now that I've learned that, I'm sharing that attitude with all of you. Whether or not you choose to agree with that is your choice. Now, when we go to we have all these different options here regarding what's going on with our storage pool, our volume. And you'll see here you have create storage pool and create a volume. And then you could add solid state drives to this and M.2 drives to mini NASs to create a cache. But for movies and things like that, the files are too large. The cache isn't going to help you. If you're moving a lot of small documents or you've got a bunch of DLL files that load, this can improve the speed, but not faster than your network anyway. So unless you're on a fast network, you probably don't need an SSD cache. and certainly not for media. Media files are too big for caching to make any benefit. So what we're going to do, I'm going to go back to the main menu here, and I'm going to close all this out. Now, under the control panel, there's a few things you need to know about before we get to the share. There's the update and restore to verify you are using the latest DSM. This is critically important for your security and make sure that the steps we're showing you match what you see on your screen. So if you have a version newer than this, you're watching an old video. If we go under, I think it's under networking.
Now this was also an option, if I recall, during setup where we could tell it whether we wanted to install the updates automatically or not, if I'm not mistaken. But this, if you told it to not do that, this is where you would go in and change that.
You would go here to make sure either way, because how do you trust it? How do you know what you set it to do is actually doing it unless you audit and check?
I don't know.
Don't trust it. You've got to check it, or you've got faith.
Right. Right.
You can set up notification settings. We're not going to get into this right now, but you can have it email you alerts when there's system events that take place. So my clients, you know, they're in other locations, I can find out through an email or a text message. And I usually just use my email. And then we get to, where is it? It's under, is it under network?
Why does your control panel look different than mine?
They should look exactly the same. So
I've got icons. You got, okay. Where did you, okay. That is
what I clicked on network. That's what you were seeing here.
Oh, okay. Okay. That's why. Yeah. Sorry. Never mind.
And I always lose where this is. What I'm looking for is it the info center? This gives us, you know, our time zone and things like that. Network, storage, service, device analytics. You see this? Allow this Synology NAS to be displayed in the web assistant at 5. You see how it's not checked by default?
Right.
And you mentioned you saw it right out of the gate. And I just overlooked it.
Yeah, that's where you unchecked it. Now you can check it if you want to. There you go.
And then you hit apply. And now I shouldn't have any problem using find.synology.com. And that's why it was not showing up before. And that's a very easy thing to fix. Okay. And then as far as requiring any sort of share, we'll go back to the control panel. We're going to create a shared folder. So right here, it says shared folder. Do you see that?
Mm-hmm.
Click on that. And you'll notice there's no folder. So we're going to create one. Okay. And I'm going to create shared folder. I have to give it a name. Now, I like to call mine public.
Okay. Now, this is, let me stop you right here. Because remember, I told you how I was going to set mine up, and we agreed that the way that we partitioned or the RAID array made the most sense for the way we did it. This is, but like I told you before, I want to have a folder for, you know, a place for movies and music and pictures and things like that, and then another one for my business. Is this where we would just create like a parent folder called entertainment and then movies underneath that, music underneath that, and then another folder, a parent folder called business, which could be YouTube under that, and then in progress and uploaded and things like that? As far as that structure, is that what we kind of want to do here?
I am a big fan of keeping it simple, and you can do it that way if you want to.
Okay.
You can do it in 6 different ways, probably at minimum of 6 different ways. Since this is a sample unit, I can set this up in the way I would do it. If you hired me to do this, this is how I would do it for you. If you understand the way you're setting it up and the pros and cons, you can set it up 6 other different ways. So what I would do, I can't emphasize that enough, is I would go, let me bring that back up on screen here. I would create a folder called public.
Okay.
And I would want this folder, or the shared folder, to take up the entirety of volume 1.
Okay.
I want the whole thing. But I could create a folder called a shared folder called movies, and a shared folder. Look, if you were sharing like Windows networking and you had 3 folders you wanted to share on your network, You could put them all under one main folder and just share the one main folder. Once you're in that main folder, the other 3 are in there. Or you can individually select those folders and individually share them.
Okay.
So I'm going to just take the big picture, say, just give me one big folder called public. Whether or not you want to enable the recycle bin is up to you. You're going to lose a little bit of space for the recycle bin, and you better remember to empty it or you might run out of space one day.
Right.
So that's why it says how to set up a schedule for the.
And you can create as many subfolders as you wanted here.
Yes. Yeah, that's my point.
So for example, like you make a public folder, and then like in my case, an entertainment folder, you know, music, movies, more underneath that. That's what I would like point my Plex or my Jellyfin to. And then I could make another folder that, let's just, for example, instead of public, make it private, which is, you know, client backups and YouTube stuff and all that. You could just break it up basically the same way you would do in Windows, right? Whatever file structure makes the most sense for you.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you could make like that public folder, it's easily shareable across a network where I may want that private folder. I only want a subfolder of that folder to be accessible to me instead of anyone that happens to be browsing my network.
Yeah, you'd probably want a separate shared folder for that, one that requires permissions.
Okay.
If you want to set that up.
I think I'll go that route. That seems to make the most sense.
Here's my logic on this. If I'm setting this up for a company, it's a public folder. There's no logins or passwords. Because if you have any employees you can't trust, why are they remaining employees in your business?
True.
But if it's like I've got payroll on there and I don't want people to see payroll, I'd say, why don't you just payroll software, financial software, almost always wants you to set a password up for the data file. So they can look at the data file all day. And when they click on it, assuming they had the software the data file's for, like QuickBooks or whatever it is, it would pop up and say, enter the password before we're going to let you see it. So even if they have access to it, it's no good to them. So that's why I'm saying in a business scenario, I leave the whole thing wide open and we never allow any remote access into this. If a client wants to work remotely, they do so from home and they log in remotely to their desktop at the office. They don't get direct access, not even me. Nobody gets outside access into this. You would have to log into one of the local remote computers. And from there, I can log into this if I have the credentials. Have I lost you?
No, that makes perfect sense.
And that way we don't have to, if the employee wants to work from home, we don't have to put Office on their computer. We don't have to put QuickBooks if they're the accountant. They run it on their computer at the office that already has that licensed software, and they're not taking any files at home. All the files are loading on the computer at the office and being saved on the NAS at the office, and they're just controlling the mouse and keyboard from home and nothing more.
Gotcha.
That's why I don't password protect things. I don't have any clients that big. I mean, at most they have 12, 15 employees and they all mostly do the same thing. So everybody needs to be able to pick up the work from somebody else. Say, can you finish that project for me? And if we password protect them, I'm going to be getting a lot more support calls.
Right.
Because, they lock themselves out. So there are regulations and FINRA regulations in the government where they are required to use things like BitLocker and stuff, but none of my clients, none of that HIPAA or FINRA stuff applies to my clients.
Right.
So for home use here, here's what I do. Okay. So what you're describing to me, here's what I would do. I'm going to create the name of public. That's the master shared folder name. And I'm going to show you why I name it that. Every NAS I ever work on, I always do this the same. So no matter who calls me for help, it's always the same. Description is optional. I'm going to leave it blank. I don't need to describe to hackers what they're looking at.
Right.
If you don't know, you don't need to be in there. And the location, there's only one location because we only created one pool. Therefore, this really simplifies the setup. There's no decisions to make here, except whether or not you want a recycle bin. So normally I enable the recycle bin, but you've got to remember to empty that recycle bin or your customer's going to be calling saying, I only have 2 terabytes of data, but it says it's nearly full.
Right.
Well, that's because you've got 6 terabytes of stuff in your recycle bin that hasn't been emptied in 3 years. So you can remember to set up a recycle bin emptying schedule like once every 30 days. It does not do that by default.
Okay.
All right. So I'm going to hit next. And we could encrypt this folder. We could say, okay, in order for you to access this public share, I need a login name and a password.
Okay.
I'm not going to do any of this. Again, I'm going to skip it. It slows us down. People forget their passwords. It's a support nightmare. Just keep it simple. Enabling data checksum for advanced data integrity. Yes, please. This enables self-healing and data scrubbing. Why would you not want to do that? This is something you can't do on ext4. This is the feature of BTRFS. So, yep, that's all looking good. And we'll hit next. This is a summary of what we're about to do. I hit next. It only takes a minute. And it says, who do you want to give access to? Now, if I want to make this password free, which is what I prefer to do, a lot of people don't like that, but I have a secure LAN. Every client of mine has a secure LAN. The only way that anybody's remoting in is through desktop remote software, which is already encrypted. So in order for me to enable the guest account, first of all, we want the admin that has group permissions of read and write. And you can say, well, they can read only, or they can read and write, or they have no access at all if they belong to a certain group. So you can say, well, Scott is in the family group, and the family only has access to this, or they can't make any changes. They can only read it, or they can't see it. So I keep this all simple. I basically have one group. So when it comes to the guest access, you'll notice here, this gets a little tricky because they don't want you to turn on the guest account. Ugreen doesn't even offer a guest account, which is why I cannot recommend Ugreen. Not at this point anyway. And if we look here, I want full read and write access to the guest account, and hit apply. That way nobody has to log in. And if we go under, let's see, where are the accounts? Oh, users and group right here. The account is disabled by default, just like the admin account. You see, when I set the name and password with Carey, I am the admin. And the two-factor authentication is what's disabled. I would recommend you enable it for the admin account, but just expedite this video, which is 2 hours and 20 minutes and still not done. We're not going to go through all that. What I'm looking at is the status side. And where it says the guest account is deactivated, I want to edit that. I right-click on it. And right here, it says deactivate this account. Do you see that?
Mm-hmm.
I uncheck the box and save it. Now, anybody on my local area network can access that public share. That's the way I like it. What does that mean? Well, that means now, if I go to my desktop, now I'm trying to think, how am I going to share this on StreamYard? I mean, I'll have to do it from the desktop, but you could literally go to your desktop and access your share right now. You would type right here on the search, if you wanted to, // the name of your NAS, so / DS923 / public, and that should open up on your network and show you all of your folders. We don't have any folders in there. So we could then create the folders no differently than if we just now attached a USB drive and treat it just like an attached USB drive. No differently. So here I could also do it in the file station. I can create a new folder in here and call it, what do you want to call one folder, Scott? Entertainment? Movies,
yeah, entertainment. And then you could break it down further from that.
Okay.
That's all I'm doing right now is just kind of creating my folder structure.
And let's create another one. You want to call it work or YouTube or?
Yeah.
Which one?
Both. Yeah, YouTube's fine.
Okay, so now, and we could have done this right through our File Explorer in Windows.
Right.
And then we can map a drive letter in Windows, call it XYZ, whatever you want.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite features is you can map it directly to the NAS. You don't even have to log in. You treat it just like your documents folder or whatever. It's really helpful.
So you can do this either in the Synology, as I'm showing you, using the file station, or at this point now, you should be able to access your public shares and just treat it like a USB drive. That's simple. And now everybody on your local area network has this shared USB attached storage that isn't actually USB at all. It's using your network, and it has a lot more capacity than a typical USB drive. And if you were to use a USB drive to create a NAS, you could. Many routers these days have a USB port on the back of them. and you could plug a USB drive back there and then share that over the network.
Yeah,
but you have no redundancy, and you're not going to have this level of capacity. And then on top of that, something Scott and I haven't talked about is this icon right up here in the top corner. It says main menu. In there, you've got a package center. And the package center, we agree to the terms, and these are all the things the NAS can act as a server for you to do. So when we look under all packages, we can run the Plex media server or the Jellyfin server. We can make a download station. We can make a backup server, and we can make all of these all simultaneously.
Mm-hmm.
We have a PDF viewer. You have the ability to like download BitTorrents and let it take its resources and do it, so you don't have to.
Yeah.
And save it on the NAS. You've got a chat server. You've got the ability to create your own Microsoft OneDrive. If you wanted to have like your own cloud, you could use Synology's drive instead of Microsoft OneDrive, and then you're not paying anything for it. You've got a photo application, an Office application, a text editor, a web development server. You have your own wiki. I mean, this goes on and on and on and on and on. And yeah, there's the Plex media server. Plex media server is not Plex.
Right.
Plex media server is what the source of your media is. Plex itself is what you use to then access.
It's the interface
The Plex
for it.
media server.
Yeah.
So some NASs, you have to install the Plex media server yourself, but here Synology's already got it in the package center. There's TeamViewer, there's Tailscale. Tailscale's amazing, amazing. There's plenty of videos on how to use that.
I've seen Network Chuck has done a lot of videos about Tailscale. That's pretty awesome.
And then of course there's beta packages. What I don't use beta packages, but they're saying they're covering their butt here. This is common disclaimer. Hey, if you use any of this stuff, it could cause problems. We don't know for sure. We don't have 100% confidence in it, but we also don't want to.
Did you say you saw Jellyfin on here? I don't see it.
Did I see Jellyfin? Let's sort by name.
Can I search for it and
search Jellyfin? It's not there. So what we would do is we would look for instead of all packages. Wait,
yeah, I looked under beta too. It's not there.
Jellyfin. So if it's not under beta, it will be under. Is it under settings? Package sources. I'm going to cheat here. I'm not a fan of Jellyfin because it's very difficult to set up. I think Plex is a lot easier.
Yeah,
but either way, you're going to be paying money one way or the other.
Yeah, but
at least if you want to stream it outside of the build.
And and that's the thing too with the Plex. Just for anybody who wants to understand, Plex is just basically a way for you to watch, movies, music, whatever you have on your media server. Think of it as like a really, really big iPod. Whatever.
It's a Netflix. It's your own.
It's your own Netflix. Yeah. So if you've ripped movies from DVD and you want to put them on your Synology, you can use Plex to go search or look through those movies. Now they just recently upgraded or forced everybody to go from $250 to $750
for a lifetime.
For a lifetime, yeah.
Otherwise, it's $7 a month.
Yeah, but
so you'd have to have Plex for 10 years before you'd break even on a lifetime. Licenses are stupid. They should have never offered them. If you want to see a company go out of business, be sure and buy their lifetime license.
Right, but it's still free to use the Plex software on your media server. The lifetime package, the Pro version. The only advantages I've ever seen are if you want to access your Plex from a mobile device like your cell phone or iPad, it limits you to 1 minute of watch time. And if you want to connect to your NAS, connect to your Plex server on your NAS from outside of your home, like say you're in a hotel room in Philadelphia, and you wanted to remote in and watch a movie on your NAS via Plex, that's where the Pro version comes in. But the free version still works. It just doesn't do as much as the Pro version. But Jellyfin apparently is a great open source alternative if you can get it to work.
But if you want like schedules of like live TV and stuff with an antenna, you have to pay for the schedules, the service.
Right.
And Jellyfin, that's not free.
Yeah, and but for what I'm gonna do with it, I
Yeah.
mean, I probably would just set up for Plex for simplicity. But I just would like to also experiment with Jellyfin. I've seen a lot about it. I've seen a lot of videos about it on you got to use Docker or something like that if it's not
Yep.
it's not a package already built in. But for simplicity, if you just want to watch your movies that are stored on your NAS, Plex is probably the simplest way to do that. So I was
Well,
just
this
looking
is how you would install Jellyfin is you would go to the package center
yeah.
and you would install the container manager and you would go and use Docker.
Ah, okay. Well, there you go.
And again, you could open up your favorite chat bot and say how to install Jellyfin, but it's much more complex. Plex is far more polished. And much like Netflix, if you want to share your media library with friends and family around the world,
Right.
they don't have to pay anything. And they can install Plex on their phones, their tablets, their Macs, their television, their Roku. If you look in your smart TV, you will see Plex is available to download and on pretty much everything.
Yeah.
Give them login credentials, they can see all your movies and you can make them read access only. So they can't delete your movies.
Right. It's pretty cool. I mean, when I had my NAS set up before I went and screwed everything up somehow, I had my entire ripped movie collection. And it was just really nice. We could go through there and I could hand the remote to my wife and say, hey, what do you want to watch tonight? And she'll go into the rom-com folder and next thing you know, I'm watching, Matthew McConaughey somehow. But it is really cool. The NAS is so much more than just a storage device. I loved every second of it. And I'm glad I've got it back up and running now. I've just got to upload terabytes of stored files that I downloaded earlier. But,
sure.
But that's the fun of it, is creating the folder structure now that I know what I'm doing, and writing down the password so I don't forget. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
So I would say if somebody wants to, so here's what we run into on the internet today I consider it a lack of consideration. And I think people mean well, but it comes across quite elitist and snobby. They'll say, for example, Linux can do everything Windows can do. It's super easy. It is not easy. If you want to put the time and the effort in, and you're technically minded, you're technically savvy, they're technically right. And Jellyfin falls under this category where you can use Jellyfin for good luck. If you have the technical savvy knowledge to set up Jellyfin, I am telling you, you were not able to set that up the first time out of the gate. I don't care who you are, because if you tell me you did, you're a liar. It's complicated. Compared to Plex, it's much easier. And what I was referring to is, say there's a box called an HD home run, and you can plug an over-the-air antenna and you can record your NFL games. Mm-hmm. You can record your favorite television shows, game shows, use it as a DVR.
Right.
You could, use this as your storage vault, let's say. And if you want to know what's on channel 5 at 8 o'clock, that schedule is not free. There's a service on Jellyfin you have to pay for to find out what's on television. Right. Now, there are shows that you might be able to watch over the internet. I'm talking about over-the-air antenna completely for free. Right. But you'd have to know what the show is, what time it's coming on. And that schedule is part of Plex's service. If you're only going to stream in your house, you don't need to pay for a Plex subscription. But if you want to be able to stream to your phone when you're traveling or to offer that to friends and family, then it's $7 a month. Now, you also can, as I mentioned, create your own cloud, your own Google Drive or OneDrive, where it's yours and who you allow access to. You don't need Dropbox anymore. Right. If you want to store your own photos, you don't need Amazon Photos. You don't need any of these other services. However, if you're not backing this up and there's a fire, a theft, a flood, a virus, an encryption, a disaster, you've lost everything. So this is not a backup. If you are using services like OneDrive and Dropbox, that's their problem. That's their expense to fix it. You, as the consumer, will never know anything went wrong in most cases. So it's really understanding the idea where people have more time than money. Sort of the idea that Linux is free if your time has no value. It's a famous quote from Jamie Zawinski, and he worked with Mark Andreessen to create Netscape. Remember Netscape?
Oh yeah.
Is still stands true today. I'm not against Linux, but let's be honest.
Right.
Let's be honest. If you want to put the time and effort into playing a harp, you will be one of the few people in the world who understand how to play a harp. It's a very complex instrument to play, and it's beautiful.
Yeah.
And once you learn to play it,
when
you go,
done
it's real
correctly.
easy.
Right.
It's
When
real
done
easy.
correctly. Yeah.
A brain surgeon can go, oh yeah, brain surgery is simple. I've been doing it 20 years. Anything becomes simple if you've been doing it. It better be.
Right. I wanted to ask you about something because regarding the NAS, because I did it before and it was such an amazing thing, and I have no idea how I did it. Again, me poking around, just thing. Long story short, I have a working folder on one of my drives that, like, as I was working on my it was basically it synchronized that folder to my NAS, and I loved that because now I can go to any workstation, any PC or laptop that's got the NAS drive mapped to it, and it's kind of like my own OneDrive. I've literally got the latest copy of whatever. I don't have to put it on flash drive and go over to my laptop or do this. And I love the fact that it just immediately synchronized everything, but I cannot remember how to do that. Do you remember how to do that?
Well, there is an app you can put in the package center called Synology Drive.
Yes, I saw that.
And Synology Drive will do that and ask you, how many revisions of any individual folder do you want to keep? But the problem is, if you're keeping one revision of every file and you've got 1 terabyte of files, you're now going to consume 2 terabytes of storage eventually.
Right.
And if you're saying 6 copies of everything to go back 6 different times,
right.
If you're just talking file synchronization, if that's all you're referring to,
I'm just wondering if it might make more sense just to work from the NAS folder.
Yeah.
Across the network.
Why wouldn't you?
Well, before I didn't have it. I was connecting to my network. There was less wired connections. My NAS was the only thing connected to an old router that wasn't even very modern, and it was very kind of slow. I've recently upgraded. I've got a new switch, all high-end cabling, and so it's been pulling up stuff pretty darn quick. So I'm thinking maybe just try that. But the Synology Drive is the thing that I seem to remember that now. That was like basically saying, okay, just make a copy of this, but I could just as easily work directly off the NAS. And why not?
Yes, but Synology Drive is great for, like, let's say you buy 2. Let's say you want to back up your Synology to my Synology. You say, hey, Carey, can I use that? Just leave it plugged in for me and give me access to it. And load Synology Drive, and we pair the 2 together, and they'll automatically just leave it on and leave it alone. This will update to every change you make, and this will be a backup. So when the tornado blows through and everything's blown away, thanks, Carey. Everything's over here, and I've got it now. How I get it back to you, I don't know that part yet. You could drop it in the mail or just go for a very long download.
But the data being safe is the important part. That's something I'd like to work with you on before or down the road is being able to back up, because one of the general rules about offsite or the best backup solution, the 3-2-1, and that ideally the best backup is one that is not physically located where the rest of your data is. And this is exactly the kind of thing that is geared for. If I'm not, well,
Synology Drive specifically is one of the most common reasons people use that, is to synchronize 2 Synologies in 2 different locations. But both locations need to have high-speed internet. It's got to be able to keep up with the number of changes you're making. And both Synologies need to have, at least the amount of storage capacity available to back up the amount of data.
Right. If you've only got 4 gig and I've got 20, we're not going to be able to synchronize. But and I would assume, I haven't looked, but I would assume with that Synology Drive that or the software, you can specify, it's not backing up the whole drive. You can say only transfer these folders to the remote location. I may only have 1 gigabyte that I need for you to back up for me, and you may only have a couple gigs that you need me to back up for you. And I believe you can also set it up to where one person can't see the other. Like, I can't see what you're storing on my server I can see that you are storing something on there, but I can't see
the Synology drive is hidden. You can't actually see it in the file system. It's hidden.
I want to explore that.
So when you go, oh my gosh, where'd all my storage go?
Right.
And I realized somebody set this up to maintain 32 copies of every file.
Ooh.
And it can't see it. So you have to go to the package manager and uninstall Synology Drive, which will erase that whole sort of virtual drive. And then all of a sudden, 20 terabytes is available after you do that. That's what I don't like about Synology Drive.
And then your phone's going to blow up because people are like, what happened to the files that I was storing on your server? And you're like,
probably not.
Yeah.
Well, probably not. But you could use it that way. This client that I had wasn't using it that way. They were just using it to back up the Office to his home. Somebody set that up. They set it up wrong. The Synology got full and it stopped working.
Right.
So they said, oh, you need a new Synology. Yours is bad. So they bought another one, did the same thing. And then that one got full and stopped working. And then they put them on Azure and they're paying $2,000 a month or something for that much storage in the cloud, and calling me going, man, we had these guys that we replaced you with. Would you come back? Everything is slow. And they're spending, they got rid of me because they thought I was too much money and I was charging them less than half that. So I said, let me take a look at their Synology, and they were covered in cobwebs. And they said, yeah, their tech said it was bad. So we bought another one. Then they said that one was bad. So I got my leaf blower and I cleared all the dust off of it, all the cobwebs. They were just fine. Once I deleted the Synology drive out of the package center, they were perfectly fine. And then since they already put everything up in Azure, we pulled it all back down. That took like 3 days. They had several million files, and put it back on the Synology and said, you can cancel your Azure now and go back to what we had. And you don't need any new NAS. You don't need any new drives. That's just the techs you hired had no idea how to use these. But that's why Synology drive's a little confusing. There's also good sync and super flexible file synchronizer, syncovery, that you could just do, schedule file synchronizations that don't necessarily happen instantly, but at 11 o'clock at night, take everything over here, and synchronize it over here.
I want to cover something that I couldn't remember how to set it up, and it's a lot of it is involving sharing and permissions. For example, and I just uploaded the LibreOffice download file. I want you to show how I can take that link and make it accessible to you. Like if I said, hey, Carey, I want you to go in here and you can download this folder or this file. How would I do that in the file? Can I do that? I assume I can do it from the file station, right? Well,
see, now this is something I don't condone. If you want to set this up as your own cloud, which is what you're referring to, it is absolutely a feature that many people use. The reason why I don't use it for that is because you've now you've installed a door, and no matter what kind of locks you put on that door, it's a door that can be broken down. So if you never have the door, you don't have a point of ingress. What is it? Ingress? You don't have a point of entry for a hacker to come in. But what you could do, and I'll tell you what I do, is I use a free GitHub project called Tailscale. I love Tailscale.
Yeah, well, that's what I was talking about. Network Chuck uses that.
Well, let's forget Network Chuck because he's very complicated.
Yeah.
He's more of an advanced educator. And he's fast. Hi, I'm Network Chuck. Today I'm going to show you how to do this. You're going to click here. You're going to click here. Oh, I got to have some coffee. Now we're going to do that.
Good Lord. He drinks so much freaking coffee.
Come over to buy my coffee. All right, Chuck.
No, I'll give you an example. No, like, for example, I create a slideshow for the family reunion every year. And it's usually a several gig, about an hour or two video. And normally, since my NAS was down, I basically had to just put it on YouTube and make it, to where I could just log in and watch it there. But I would like to be like to family members, like if there's a bunch of pictures from the reunion or whatever, and I wanted to put them on a folder, put them in a folder on my NAS. The only people that are going to see it are people I trust. So it kind of takes the hacker thing out of the equation.
It doesn't, though.
Well, at least
the people you're putting in there have been hacked, and they don't know they've been hacked. Then the hackers have their login information to your NAS. That's why I'm not recommending this.
So you're saying route everything through Tailscale, because that's providing.
No, Tailscale wouldn't necessarily help you in this either. And in the scenario that you're describing, what Tailscale will do is it'll assign an IP address. through encryption, through a logged in account to access your NAS from your browser or to go to your network. And you know how you see all the computers on your network when you browse your network?
Right.
You'll see your tail scale. So my clients in office buildings across town, I see their NASs and I assign them, you know, this is the X drive. I map a drive letter to them and I can copy files right to their NAS or from their NAS without having to log in remotely and without worrying about a hacker because it's password protected 3 different ways. And tail scale's free, but it's slow, right? So if I'm going to do a backup, if I say, okay, I want to take everything off of my client's NAS. This is part of the service they pay me for. I get in my car, I drive. This is me driving. Should get a better steering wheel.
And
I drive over there.
You called
I bring
me old?
I bring a portable drive with me, and I usually the system, who would you call that? The main office administrator.
Right.
Plug it into the back of their computer. Just a little Seagate, a little Samsung like T7, 2.5-inch SSD, and I plug it into USB-C for really fast data transfer. And I say, just ignore that. And I have a label maker. I call it backup 1. Okay. And then what I do is I synchronize everything off of the NAS in the office over the fast network onto backup drive 1. And I set up Syncovery, a great file synchronization program, which can work over the internet. It's just too slow.
Right.
And if they've deleted files here, it deletes them over there. So it's not just a copy where eventually, you know, it's just copying new stuff, but never deleting old stuff. So what it does is I have it mirror. So if it's deleted here, it's deleted there. If there's folders been removed to here, remove the folder over there. So it's an exact mirror copy. And I take backup number 1 when it's done, and I leave it on the boss's desk, and I say, take this home and put it away in case something happens to me.
Right.
Then I have backup drive number 2. I plug it in. I do the same thing. I take that one. I'm going to take it home.
Right.
And then I take backup number 3. They're all the same. Plug it in, and I leave, so I don't have to wait for it.
Right.
Once that's out of the way, now all I do going forward, depending on how much they want to pay me and how often they want me to make offsite backups, I drive over there. I unplug their drive, which is current. I plug in my drive, which could have been in my vault for a month, so it's out of date. I set it to synchronize, and then I go get in my car and I drive a half an hour back home. By the time I get home, it's usually done. And I'm doing this off business hours. Okay, now with Tailscale, I don't have to do that anymore.
Right.
I take the drive I've got, I plug it in to my laptop, and I load the same synchronization. I go take everything off of drive letter X and put it here on my SSD. And I do this at night, and it might take 8 hours to move up, you know.
But you're sleeping. Who cares?
Exactly. What do I care?
Yeah. You're getting paid.
I don't have to drive over there anymore.
Yeah.
I don't have to swap drives.
We don't want you driving like that. It's bad.
This is how I drive.
Oh my God. My grandfather used to drive like that. That's horrible. Oh my God.
I drive like a race car driver. I'm up.
So is there anything that you can think of for someone new to the NAS world that because I know we covered a lot of the basics.
Well, first of all, I'm a king of simple. I'll keep emphasizing that.
Yes.
This to me is nothing but a big shared USB drive that everybody has access to.
That's a good way to
particularly helpful in an office where if an employee is done with their part of the project and another employee needs to pick it up, or a customer calls and says, what's my status? Anybody can answer that phone. Anybody can go look on the files. Nobody has different copies of things. That's not allowed. You're not allowed to save files on your desktop. For that reason, their computers don't have anything bigger than a 500 gig NVMe drive. Because if I get a phone call that says my drive is getting full, we got a training issue here.
Right. And there's no need to. I mean, there's no need to.
They shouldn't be saving it to their computer.
Right.
And we'll chew them out for it. Now let the boss know if something happens to their computer, there's no copy. I'm not backing up their computers. I'm only backing up the NAS.
Right.
Okay. And if the company wants to pay me to back up all the computers, we can throw a Cronus on all of them and you can pay all that money and we can automate a Cronus to put images on your NAS and take up more space. So you have to buy bigger drives.
Right.
Anyway, so I like to keep things simple. So when you talk about the ability to share photos or share movies, Synology will tell you, not only can you do that, you should. I will tell you, I would be more comfortable putting it on YouTube if it's a video and just make it unlisted and share the link with everybody. And once everybody's seen it, or or just leave it there. It's free. It's completely free.
Yeah.
And they can watch it on their phone. They can watch it on their Mac. If they've got a browser, they can watch it. All right.
Yeah.
There's no training. There's no password. There's no
Right.
login. Okay.
And that's realistically what I do.
If I wanted to share a file with you, I would use the free Google Drive to do it.
Yeah.
If the file I want to share with you is like 30 gigs and I only have 15 gigs of free Google Drive, I've not been in that scenario before.
Right.
But you could still use a service
like WeTransfer or one of those
Mega.nz, but that's more public. I think you can password protect it, but you may not want to do it that way. In which case, now we're mitigating and we're saying, well, what if I just turned it on for this file transfer?
Right.
Synology makes it very easy, but the easier they make it, the easier it is for hackers to get into it. That's all I'm trying to say.
That's true.
So where the convenience comes more risk. If I didn't have to roll up the windows and lock the doors on my car and set the alarm, I wouldn't. But I have to. If I didn't have to have locks on my doors, I would appreciate not having to lock or remember my keys, block myself out. It's inevitable. You're going to lock yourself out.
What about remote access? So, for example, I'm in the hotel in Nashville, and I need to pull some files off my
Tailscale.
Tailscale will do that.
Oh, Tailscale's the best. So remember how I said I can have that backup drive here. I don't have to drive.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, you just literally just said that. Yeah,
it just shows up on my network as though it were on my network. It appears to be on my network.
Okay, so it just kind of shows up just like an extra drive, and you click on it, you log in, and boom,
it shows up. Yeah, I map drive letter X to IP address /public.
Right.
Because that's the name of the share.
Right. And Tailscale.
And I'm not doing anything to the Synology other than putting Tailscale on it. And I have to put Tailscale on the other end, and I have to authorize both things to talk to each other.
Okay, so you have to create an account on both sides. You have to create a free account, and then you just log in on the inside and say, in this side, and then just say, you two are allowed to speak, and everything works. That's
and
cool.
There's no limit. So if I have 15 clients with 15 different NASs, I can put Tailscale on all 15. They could be located anywhere in the world.
And that's
good. Be my neighbor.
That's got to be fantastic for what you do, for your corporate management jobs. I mean, for your what you do, it saves you a lot of driving for sure.
What a lifesaver.
You
and
can
I'll
just
tell you
do all
who
that.
Explained it. Who explained it was Space Rex. And he did such a great job. And it had probably been out. I'd never heard of it before, so I'm a little late to the game. And I said, this is the solution, because I didn't want to turn any authorization for remote into this. So I would just drive in the car to be safe and just do it old school sneaker net.
Right.
Because I wasn't convinced any other way was secure enough for me. The problem is it's going to take 10 times longer. But if I'm doing it at night and I go to bed, what do I care how long it takes?
Yeah. You're not in a hurry.
In fact, it could take 3 days. The people in the office will never even know it's happening.
Right.
If anything, they might notice their internet's a little slower, but that's on them if they don't have high-speed internet or high enough speed.
Right.
In most cases, they're mostly downloading. They're not uploading. If they're uploading anything, it's PDFs and Word documents. They don't even know I'm connected and still synchronizing. So, and I use a piece of software called Synology. It's been around for a long, long time.
You mentioned that, yeah.
And GoodSync is another very popular one. And Synology, I think if we look on the Synology, let's see if I can bring this back.
In the package center?
Yeah, I believe it's in the package center.
What's called? Synology? SYNC?
I don't know if Synology is in there, but I'm pretty sure
GoodSync is.
GoodSync is in there, yeah.
Cloud Sync, GoodSync, Synology is
not. The people who make GoodSync are the same people who make RoboForm.
Oh, okay.
And if you look for Tailscale, it should already be there too.
Yes, I think it was down at the, there it is.
And you would install Tailscale. And then once it's installed, just like installing Plex, you would configure it with your free account that you make on GitHub.
Okay.
And so here it says it's running, and we just click on it to let's go to installed packages. Tailscale should be in this list. There it is. Open it. It opens another browser tab. Is that showing up? This new browser tab?
I see it.
and you'll notice the link up here is my local IP.
Yeah.
And then it says web manager, third party. Tailscale, is not Synology,
Right.
but it's passed all of Synology's requirements with regards to being already pre-installed or in the package center for you to download. It's not beta. There's
right.
no disclaimer.
It's done all the bypassing and all that. And I got you.
And then you would go through the setup. I don't know why it's taking so long. Let me refresh it. It should come up pretty quickly. And it'll walk you through setting that up on the Synology, and then it'll walk you through setting it up on your computer.
Right.
And you're good to go. And then about every 6 months, it'll need you to re-sign in and reauthorize, because if you don't reauthorize it, you lose access to it. It's just for safety.
Right.
You have to, periodically, it's going to request you validate you're still active and using this.
Right.
And it's all free.
That's pretty amazing, man.
I don't know why that's not coming up, though. That's kind of throwing
That's
me.
okay. But you get the general idea.
Well, Space Rex, if you type in Tailscale Space Rex,
yeah,
he walks you through the whole thing and demonstrates the installation configuration and how to use it. Very well done job by him.
Yeah, he's a pretty smart guy, smart fellow. I like his stuff. I don't understand most of it, but I like it.
I think he does a good job of explaining it personally.
Right.
I would say my biggest complaint is he sometimes is a little bit mumble. There's a little bit of a mumble, but
right.
It's like making fun of somebody's lisp. It's not fair to complain about it, because
right.
Overall,
it's the same thing.
Someone could say I speak too fast.
I get comments every day. You speak too fast. You speak too slow. I mean, it's like, okay, what do you want to do? I was like, would you like me to start talking like this?
Slow down.
Whoa. I need the 2X's, dude. Well, look, I need to wrap up because wifey's back and it's going to be dinner time soon. I am super excited to start playing with my freshly installed NAS, which ironically is going to be better than the one I had, because now you bought me 8 more terabytes of storage space, and I wouldn't have even known had I not talked to you. So I thank you so much for taking the time today to walk this old bird through this process, but you've already done 100 of them or more.
I love this. I will do it 100 more times. I have so much. I don't know why. I just really love doing this. So, you giving me an excuse to walk you through it.
Right.
Thank you for giving. That's a gift.
Well, we've been talking about doing this for several months, and it's just, life happens. And I was like, no, I'm going to do it, and let's make it happen. So next thing is maybe your folks, your viewers will maybe reach out to you and say, hey, could you talk about X, Y? Just like I was asking certain questions about certain things, maybe they have things that maybe we didn't cover that they want to know, and then we can jump on together and maybe tackle some of those things. And by we, meaning you, and I'll just watch.
Or they can go to Gemini and not wait for us. But on the other hand, they might want our perspective.
That's what they come here for. Not just a good hot dog.
Is that why?
Maybe it's just to watch you pretend to drive like an old man. These damn kids, get out of my way. Yeah. Anyway,
if somebody's driving faster than you, they're crazy, and if they're slower than you, they're an idiot. That's the rules.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, listen, if you get into any stumbling points when you're reconfiguring this, you know how to reach me. I'm always happy to help with this stuff. And,
I'm one of 6 people that has your personal phone number. Okay, maybe 7.
I think it's down to 4 now.
2 of them fired you. Is that right? Anyway, seriously, no. I want to thank you so much. You actually made this pretty easy once we got through that huge stumbling block. But that's part of what some people may experience. So I'm glad that we were able to work through that together and figure out, whether it was pop all 1 drive out or 3 drives out, or double click this or reset. These are things people might come across. So I'm glad we were. And going forward, now I know if I run into an issue and I want to restart, I know what to do. So thank you again.
I learned it.
Cool.
So I think it was a viewer in the community a few years back that told that to me, and I think I initially was stubborn and trying to figure it out myself, and then eventually listened to them. I was like, well, thank you for that. I wish I would have listened sooner. So now I do that as a regular thing now. And that was taught to me by my community.
Right.
Another
thing too, you might want to also reach out if you want to have me back on at some point. Find out what you folks want to talk about. You know, maybe they just want to sit and listen to us tell stories of the old days, or actually do computer stuff. I don't know. Whatever.
You're one of my favorites to have on the show. And,
I appreciate that.
I was sad when we couldn't make things work out, but on the other hand, it makes this even more special.
Yeah.
And if your schedule allows and we can have you here more often, I would love to have you here more.
Cool.
You're
well,
welcome here,
I appreciate that. And if I come up with a great idea that I think would be great for a live, then we'll do it.
Even if you come up with a bad idea, I'll take them.
Okay. Fair enough.
All right. Thank you to all of our viewers watching. And we hope that, I guess the gist of the show here is that if you're dealing with it new and you're not sure, just click next. If you're dealing with something you've used before and you have to reset it, we're very lucky that that happens so we can demonstrate. That's also fairly easy once you know the secret password. And then not literally the password, but the routine. And then as far as like TrueNAS and Unraid or Open Media Vault, those go, I think they're a little bit more advanced than where I like to keep my channel for the average person. But there are plenty of other YouTube channels that cover that stuff in depth, and I would encourage you to check them out. It's not punishing me, but if we do have an abundance of people that want me to go to that level of depth, I'll make an exception. But overall, I want to encourage people to keep things simple. And if you were a hobbyist and you have time on your hands and you're like, but why would you discourage me learning? No. I'm discouraging me teaching that level of teaching. If you want to do it on your own, there are plenty of resources online, and I would encourage you to use them. And if there's sort of a movement or a fad where everybody's suddenly interested in it, of course I'm going to cover it. But otherwise, I try to cover topics I think appeal to most people without alienating anybody because they're not smart enough. But you may not have a NAS, and this video may not be of any use to you, but that's why we don't just do videos on NASs. We do videos on other things. And if you really want to see a great example of a variety of subject matter that applies to the average computer user, Ask Your Computer Guy. He has so many videos. None of them are this long, by the way. They're all much shorter, to the point, edited, polished, well-spoken, and most importantly, accurate, coming from a real computer technician, not an enthusiast. If you're not subscribed to him, you're lost. You should check him out. There's a reason why I've invited him here, and he's been here multiple times. Whereas others perhaps don't meet my requirement to be working in the industry. They might be good, but they have no accountability. And finding people who do have that accountability and bringing them on, if you know of any that I'm missing, please let me know. We'll invite them on as well. And
maybe we get Space Rex on here to help us with the next NAS setup.
Absolutely. Space Rex.
I'd love to pick his brain.
Or I've tried Robbie over at NAS Compares, but he's putting out a video every 10 minutes. So yeah, it's a little difficult to get him on. But the doors are open for people in the industry. And we certainly want to encourage the responsibility and accountability when we're offering technical advice or purchasing considerations from an accountability aspect, not just because, hey, it's fun. But you as a viewer, you can go buy stuff for fun. It don't bother me none. But I just want to give you an idea of why we invite certain people on and why I have this channel here. I want to explain things to people in a way that I wish somebody would have explained it to me. So thank you again, Scott. We'll have links.
You would have learned so well and now be able to teach so many people. So, you figured it out yourself, and that makes you a better teacher.
Well, I don't know if it makes me a better teacher, but it can make me a better teacher to some people who say,
yeah.
Like the best example I give is somebody came up to me and said, if I have antivirus, why do I need a firewall? Aren't they the same thing? And I said, well, if you have pest control, why do you need a burglar alarm? And they went, is that it? That's all it is? I go, that's all it is. They go, why wasn't anybody able to explain it to me? I go, technical people, they forget. If you work as a kindergarten teacher for 20 years and you come home and you have an adult party and you go, oh, would you like a 7 and 7? Yeah, and 7 and 7 is 14.
Right.
kind of conditions your brain to communicating in a certain way. And
Right.
technical people tend to communicate in a technical way and forget they didn't always know that. None of us were born with this.
Right.
So I say to myself, how could somebody have explained this to me where I could have gotten it? And that's perhaps works for some people, and for other people, they go, the guy's an idiot. You know, one way or the other.
That's all I try to do on my channel is just talk to the absolute, like, if you don't know, I'm going to assume you know nothing. And then, you know.
Yeah, but without doing it in a not a meaningful.
Yeah, I mean, there's no reason to be,
don't
make somebody feel stupid. Just say, here are the basics. Feel free to fast forward if you already know.
And remind them, hey, listen, you know, they apologize. I'm sorry it was such an easy question. No, I love easy questions. As I told you, all day, y'all, you can ask me
I don't have to Google them or nothing. You know, I love it.
Yeah, that makes me feel smart. But if you ask me a really complicated question,
right?
Like, I don't know, you probably had customers do that to you where they go, how do I do this? You go, just click there. Oh, I'm sorry to bother you. And you're like, are you kidding me? You could ask me these questions all day.
Right. Yeah.
But they give you, I go, what, you want me to suffer? Is that what you're saying?
I'll just put 25 cents on your tab and then we'll just collect eventually.
There you go.
Anyway, I'm out of here, buddy. Thank you so much.
Thank you again, Scott.
Take care.
You too. And that's going to wrap it up for today's show. I want to thank Scott Merrill, Ask Your Computer Guy. Links to his channel in the video notes below the video. Thanks to Buster, our friend in Scotland, who sends us an Amazon gift card prior to the show starting. Thanks to Mara in our chat room, and she's our channel administrator, for setting up the thumbnails and all the notes and the video notes. And she's doing all the administrative work, answering your emails. Of course, our email address, we have all that in our video notes below this video. Thank you to all of our members in green. Thank you to folks that are perhaps following Scott, but don't follow us. Thank you for all of you joining us and interacting with us today. And of course, reach out to us anytime. We always love hearing from you guys. If you want to share an experience with us, or you want to share an opinion, you disagree with my take, that's fine. I mean, don't insult me. But you can share your opinion. I love that. And that's going to be it. Our next show will be Friday. Now, Friday, we're going to discuss securing yourself for free from bad web. Right? But it's going to be better than nothing. And it's completely for free. And you can do this on all of your computers, laptops, tablets, phones, etc. And it costs you nothing. And it might even make your connection seem a bit faster as well. So I hope you'll join us on Friday, 1 o'clock Pacific time as usual, and we'll deep dive into something, if you want to study ahead, called Quad 9. That's going to wrap it up for me for today. Thank you all for watching. We will see you again on Friday. Until then, bye for now.